What did you expect? You couldn't give me a child. He could. You failed me as a man first, she said. I filed papers and walked away silently. Now she's desperate on my doorstep with a baby that's not mine. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. Hey Reddit, throwaway for obvious reasons because this one's too raw to post under my main. I'm 35, been married to Chloe for 7 years. We met in our mid-20s at some generic office job in the suburbs. Nothing glamorous, just two people who clicked over bad coffee and worse spreadsheets. She was the spark, all fiery opinions, and that laugh that could light up a room. I was the steady one, the guy who planned date nights and remembered anniversaries. We talked kids early on, dreamed of a house full of chaos and tiny feet. Fast forward, and that's where it all went to hell. It started 2 years ago. We'd been trying for a baby, the usual drill, tracking cycles, timing everything like a military op. But months turned into a year, and nothing. Chloe suggested we see a specialist. I was all in. Hell, I'd read every forum, every article on male fertility. Turns out, the first tests came back fuzzy. The doc said it could be low motility on my end, nothing definitive, but enough to make Chloe's eyes well up in the waiting room. We'll fix this, I told her, squeezing her hand. Whatever it takes. And I meant it. I cut out the beer, hit the gym like a maniac, even swallowed those chalky supplements that tasted like regret. We did IVF rounds, needles in my thigh for hormone shots, her curled up on the couch after egg retrievals, me rubbing her back and whispering we'd get there. God, the sacrifices. I turned down a promotion that would have meant longer hours. Because who wants to chase deals when your wife's puking for meds? Sold my old truck to cover the deductibles, thousands down the drain on procedures that felt like Russian roulette. Flashback to last spring. We're in the clinic parking lot after another negative test. Rain's pounding the windshield, and she's sobbing into my shoulder. Alex, what if it's never us? What if we're broken? I held her tighter than I ever had. Then we figure out adoption, or fostering, or whatever. But it's us against this, Chloe. Always. She looked up, eyes red but grateful, and kissed me like I was her hero. I was her hero. Or so I thought. We kept at it, the hope flickering but never out. I'd come home from work, mid-level IT drone, nothing flashy, and find her scrolling baby name sites, or I'd catch her staring at her stomach in the mirror, willing it to happen. Our sex life? Mechanical at first, then sparse. Stress, they said. But I powered through, booked couples therapy to keep us connected. One session sticks out. The therapist asks about our love languages. Chloe says mine's acts of service. True. I'd do anything for her. She admits hers is words of affirmation, and I vow right there to tell her daily how she's my world. You're stronger than this fight. I'd text her from meetings. We got this. Little did I know, she was fighting a different war. The red flags? Hindsight's a bitch. Late nights at work events. Her phone buzzing at odd hours. That new perfume she swore was just a gift from a client. Ryan, her co-worker. The name popped up in texts I'd glance at innocently. Can't wait for drinks. She'd reply with a heart emoji. I chalked it up to networking. Her job in marketing was all schmoozing. But intimacy faded. Weeks without touch. Her turning away with "I'm tired, babe." I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if it was the fertility crap wearing us down. Give her space, I told myself. Support her. So I did. Cooked her favorite lasagna after failed cycles. Planned weekend getaways to recharge. One trip to the coast. We're walking the beach at sunset, her head on my shoulder. I love you, Alex. You're my rock. I believed every word. Then, 3 months ago, she drops the bomb. I'm in the kitchen, stirring pasta sauce, when she walks in glowing. Literally, that pregnancy flush. Alex, I'm pregnant. Her voice cracks, tears streaming. My heart explodes. I drop the spoon, pull her into a hug so tight I lift her off the floor. Holy shit, Chloe. How? When? We're laughing, crying, spinning in circles like idiots. She says it happened naturally. No meds, just luck. The math? Off. We'd barely been intimate in 2 months, and her cycles were clockwork. But joy overrides logic. I book the first ultrasound, start Googling cribs that night. Our miracle, I think. After all that hell, we did it. A week later, the doubts creep in. I'm at work, calendar open, counting back from her announcement. The timeline doesn't line up, not with our last time. I brush it off as stress math, but it nags. That night, she's in the shower, phone on the counter. It buzzes. Ryan, can't stop thinking about last week. And the test? Positive? We're doing this. My stomach drops. I scroll up, months of messages. Flirty at first. You're too good for that house husband routine. Then explicit. Photos, plans to meet at his place. He gets me excited, Alex. You just don't anymore. The kicker, her replying to his baby news. Our little secret. Alex still thinks it's his fight. I sit there, phone burning my hand, the shower running like white noise over the roar in my head. How did I miss this? Years of building a life, pouring everything into us, and she's been rewriting the story behind my back, using my supposed failure as cover, like I was the punchline. The pasta boils over on the stove, hissing steam, but I don't move. Numb. Betrayed doesn't cover it. This was sabotage. Our dream, twisted into her lie. And the worst? Part of me still wants to fix it. No, I think, setting the phone down. Not this time. I don't confront her that night. Or the next. I need proof, not impulse. The next day, I call in sick, first time in years, and dig. More texts, hotel receipts buried in our joint account statements. Ryan's a sales guy at her firm, all flash and no substance. The type who posts gym selfies and drives a leased Beamer. It paints a picture. Stolen afternoons while I crunched numbers at my desk, her coming home to me with his scent on her skin, feeding me half-truths about doctor's appointments. The infertility? She'd twisted the doc's words, never pushed for my full retest, just let it fester as my shame. You couldn't give me a child. Her words in a message to her sister, venting. He failed me. By Friday, I'm done gathering. Prints in hand, I wait till evening. She's humming in the living room, hand on her belly, scrolling nursery Pinterest. Domestic bliss, if you ignore the fraud. Chloe. I say, voice steady as I can manage. I hold up the stack. We need to talk. She freezes, eyes flicking to the papers. Color drains from her face, but she recovers quick, too quick. What's that? Work stuff? She stands, smoothing her shirt over the bump. I lay them out on the coffee table. Texts, timelines, the math circled in red. This. All of it. How long, Chloe? She scans, lips pressing thin. Sinks onto the couch, not meeting my eyes. Alex, it wasn't planned. It just happened. Her voice wavers, but there's no apology in it. More like a kid caught with crumbs on her face. Happened. I echo, sitting across from her. Arms crossed to keep from shaking. For how long? And the baby, Ryan's? She nods, slow, like admitting the weather. 6 months. Maybe 7. The pregnancy, yeah, his. A pause, her hand protective on her stomach. But I love you, Alex. This doesn't change us. I laugh, short, bitter, the sound foreign in my throat. Doesn't change? You lied. About everything. The tests, the affair, using my problem to cover your guilt. We went through hell for a kid that was never mine. Her eyes flash, defensive now, chin lifting. Your problem? Yeah, Alex, it was. The doctor said low motility. You heard him. I waited. God, I waited for you to fix it. Years of nothing, of feeling like half a woman because you couldn't. She trails off, but the venom's there, hanging. Couldn't what? Get you pregnant? My voice stays even, but inside, it's splintering. We were in it together. I gave up everything, time, money, my damn body to those shots. And you? Sneaking around, making me the villain in our story. She stands, pacing now, one hand gesturing wild. What did you expect? You couldn't give me a child. He could. This is your fault as much as mine. You failed me as a man first. The words land like slaps, cold, calculated, no regret. She stops, glaring. Ryan, he saw me. Made me feel desired, not just tolerated. The baby's proof, we were broken long before this. Failed as a man. It echoes, twisting the knife. Flashback hits. Me in that clinic chair, arm out for blood work, her squeezing my hand. You're enough, Alex. Always. Lies. All of it. But I don't yell. Don't beg. Just nod, slow. I see. She misreads it, thinks I'm crumbling. Softens a fraction, steps closer. Look, We can work through it. Co-parent or something. You're stable, good with kids. Ryan's excited, but he's not you. We could. No. Simple, final. I stand, gathering the papers. You chose this. Him. The lie. That's not my life anymore. Her face hardens, smug edging in, like she's already scripted the win. Oh, come on. You'll forgive me. You always do. Who's gonna want you now? The guy who couldn't even knock me up? She laughs, sharp, packing a overnight bag from the hall closet like it's decided. I'm staying at Ryan's tonight. Think about it, Alex. For the baby's sake. I watch her stuff clothes in. Silently, the zipper the only sound. No outburst. No please. Just the click as I hand her the house key. Take care. She pauses at the door, bag slung over her shoulder, hand on the knob. You'll regret this. Walking away from your family. Pathetic. Then she's gone, door clicking shut. Taillights fade down the drive. I sink to the floor, back against the wall. The house smells like her lavender shampoo. Failed as a man. It loops, but anger simmers under the hurt. Outrage at the gall, the cruelty. She didn't just cheat. She weaponized our pain, turned my loyalty into her excuse. Hours pass in the dark, phone silent. No calls to friends, no drunken dials. Just me, the empty nursery down the hall, and the first crack of dawn creeping in. I don't cry. I plan. The silence hit hardest those first weeks. Not the screaming kind, but the kind that presses in, heavy and absolute. Chloe's stuff was gone. Half the closet bare, her side of the bathroom counter-wiped clean like she'd never been. I'd wander the house like a ghost, touching echoes. The mug she loved chipped on the edge, the throw blanket we'd snuggle under during bad news calls from the clinic. Why here? Why now? I'd ask the empty air, but answers didn't come. Just the math replaying. Her smug exit, the door slam, Ryan's texts mocking from my phone's memory. I filed the divorce papers Monday morning. Online, impersonal, like ordering takeout. No lawyer yet. Our assets were straightforward. The house in both names, but mostly my sweat equity. Her things? Boxed and dropped at Ryan's office. No note. Clean break. Friends noticed quick. Texts trickling in. Heard Chloe's staying elsewhere? Everything okay? I'd reply vague. Working through stuff. Appreciate the check-in. No details. Not yet. The betrayal was mine to unpack, not fodder for group chats. Therapy helped. Found a guy online, video sessions from my home office. First one, I spilled it all. The affair, the lie, her words carving me open. Failed as a man. He nodded. No pity, just, that's her shame projected, Alex. Not your truth. We dug into the numbness. The way loyalty had blinded me. How I'd ignored the distance for the dream of family. You sacrificed for a ghost, he said. Flashback crept in during one session. Christmas last year, me wrapping onesies just in case. Her kissing my cheek. You're going to be the best dad. The memory stung fresh, but I let it pass. No wallowing. Progress meant facing the void. Nights were brutal. I'd lie in our bed. Sheets changed. Her pillow gone. Staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin. Sleepless, I'd replay the clinic days. Holding her hair back during nausea, driving through blizzards for appointments. I'd sold that truck for her, remember? Traded reliability for hope. Now, the money sat in savings, untouched, a bitter reminder. One midnight drive, I ended up at the coast, same beach from our getaway. Waves crashed indifferent, salt air whipping my face. She chose excitement over us. I thought, kicking sand. But excitement's a drug, it crashes. Confusion swirled. Was it me? Too steady, too safe? Or her, chasing validation in Ryan's arms? The unfairness gnawed. Me, the villain for loving hard. Her free to rewrite history. Small changes crept in, unforced. Gym 3 times a week, not for abs, but to sweat out the ache. Old hobbies resurfaced. Dusting off my guitar in the garage, strumming half-forgotten chords till blisters formed. Friends pushed gently. Mark, from college, dragged me to a pickup basketball game. Dude, you look like hell. Spill or shoot hoops. I chose hoops, the rhythm of dribble and pass a distraction. Post-game beers, I cracked open. Chloe's pregnant. Not mine. His jaw dropped, then a bear hug. Fuck that. You're gold, man. She doesn't deserve the dirt on your shoes. No judgment, just solidarity. It chipped the isolation. But the retest? That was my quiet rebellion. Week 3. I booked it solo. Different clinic. No fanfare. Results came in encrypted email. Motility perfect. Count stellar. No issue. Vindication. Sharp and sweet. But I filed it away. Not for revenge. Yet. Just truth. For me. Internal shift started there. From how did I fail? To she failed us. The silence evolved too. From oppressive to spacious. I'd cook for one. Jazz on the stereo. No tiptoeing around moods. Therapy nailed it. Betrayal's a theft, Alex. She stole your trust. Now reclaim it. Months blurred. 6 weeks to 3. I relocated to the spare room. Turned the master into a home gym/office hybrid. Job-wise, that promotion I'd skipped? Landed it remote, salary bump funding a weekend in the mountains. Hiking trails alone, summit views stealing my breath. This is freedom, I realized, wind tousling my hair. Not punishment. Confusion lingered in quiet moments. Why build a life just to torch it? But resolve hardened. The unfairness? Still stung, like a bruise fading slow. I'd sit with it over coffee, journaling scraps. Her choice, my peace. No more propping her up. Energy turned inward. Mutual friends circled cautious. Sarah, Chloe's bestie from work, emailed. Heard bits. Chloe's, complicated. You holding up? I replied honest but brief. Getting there. Space helps. No bridges burned. Life's long, but boundaries firm. The nursery? I dismantled it piece by piece. Crib framed to storage. Tiny clothes donated. Each box sealed felt like exhale. Good riddance to what-ifs. By month 3, the ache dulled to echo. I'd catch myself smiling at dumb things. A coworker's joke. A sunset drive. I'm not broken. The mirror reflected back. Clearer eyes. The silence. Now a companion, not a cage. Little did I know, her world was cracking while mine mended. But that's for later. For now, I breathed. Walked forward. One deliberate step. Karma doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door down when you're not looking. 3 months in, I'd settled into a rhythm. Work promotions stacking like cordwood. Weekends hiking with Mark and his crew. Even dipping a toe into dating apps. Nothing serious. Just coffee chats that reminded me laughter wasn't extinct. The divorce? In motion, mediators shuffling papers. Chloe's name popped up in group texts now and then. Vague, hope you're both okay. But I stayed surface level. My truth serum was that retest report. Tucked in a drawer like a loaded gun, I wasn't itching to fire. It started with a voicemail from Ryan's number. Blocked, but it slipped through on a new line. Hey Alex. It's Ryan. Look, man to man. This baby's not my circus. Chloe's got it twisted. I'm out. Click. No drama. Just a sales pitch for his exit. I deleted it, but curiosity pinged a mutual friend, Tom, from our old bar league. Heard Ryan bailed? Chloe's solo now. Tom's voice low, like spilling state secrets. Turns out, baby shower plans fizzled. Ryan ghosted post-ultrasound when paternity hit too real. She posted cryptic Insta stories, silhouettes of cribs against sunsets, captions like stronger alone, but the likes dried up fast. Then the leak. I'd shared the fertility results with Tom over beers, one confidant, for closure. Dude, you were never the issue. She played you. He swore discretion, but whispers travel. By week's end, my phone lit up. Sarah texting, is it true? Your tests were fine? Chloe said, followed by a screenshot of her group chat meltdown. Alex is lying to make me look bad. He knows it's complicated. But the math didn't lie. Timelines, texts, now science. Mutuals connected dots. The affair wasn't heat of the moment. It was premeditated, my failure, her alibi. Friends peeled off. Dinner invites for her dried. Birthday nods turned cold shoulders. Her sister? Radio silence after one awkward family meeting pitch I declined. Chloe unraveled in fragments. Social media scraps. A tear-streaked selfie at 28 weeks. Motherhood's raw. Judgment sucks. Deleted by morning. Tom forwarded a voice note she'd sent him by mistake. Baby kicks in the background, her voice cracking. Everyone hates me now. Ryan's gone, and Alex, he thinks he's better. Isolation hit hard. Job rumors swirled. Marketing firms all gossip. Her work mom circled ghosting after the truth bomb. Family. Her parents stopped the weekly check-ins. Last I heard, they suggested she own her choices. Broke? Not yet, but maternity leave loomed without backup, daycare costs stacking like accusations. The baby arrived mid-July. Girl, healthy, per a stray announcement in our old neighborhood Facebook group. No tags, no fanfare. Just a photo of tiny feet, captioned, "Our fighter." I watched from afar, not gloating, more like witnessing a storm I'd dodged. She built this cage, I thought, folding laundry in my quiet space. Now she's rattling the bars. The unfairness flipped. Me, once the failure, now steady. Her smug exit? Echoed hollow. Vindication settled soft, not sharp. Therapy called it integration. You've grieved the lie. Now live the truth. And I did. New apartment downtown, view of the river, guitar lessons on Tuesdays. Her chaos? Background noise, fading. But noise has a way of amplifying when desperate. The floodgates cracked a week after the birth. Voicemails first, then texts, a deluge I should have blocked, but didn't. Not cruelty, curiosity, maybe. Or masochism. Her voice on the first one, hoarse from hospital discharge. Alex, she's here. Lily, God, she's perfect. But it's hard. Ryan never showed. I need you. Please, just talk to me. For her. A pause, baby fuss in the background. Then softer. I was scared. Hormones, the lies, it spiraled. We can fix this. You're her dad in every way that matters. I listened in the parking lot after work, engine idling. Dad. The word twisted fresh. But no pull, no ache for what she'd poisoned. I texted back once. Congratulations. Take care. Short, civil. Blocked the number. End of story. Nah. Flying monkeys deployed. Her sister, Jenna, toxic from jump, always siding with blood, called that night. Alex, this is bullshit. Chloe's postpartum, alone with a newborn. You're punishing her? Think of the baby. Lily needs stability. You're the only one who can step up. I gripped the phone, jaw set. Jenna, that's not my role. Chloe chose Ryan for that. Respect my boundary. She scoffed, voice pitching shrill. Boundary? You're heartless. After 7 years? Family helps family. Click. I hung up, no debate. Toxic as the source, I thought, muting her too. Escalation hit month 1. Desperation sharpening to edges. I'm at the corner coffee shop, grabbing my usual black drip, when Sarah slides into the booth uninvited. Chloe's work proxy, eyes red-rimmed. Alex, please. She's falling apart. Sleepless nights, crying jags. The baby's colicky. Chloe hasn't slept in days. She didn't mean the affair. It was escape from the pressure. You two were solid. Help her. I stir my coffee slow, meeting her gaze. Sarah, I appreciate you checking in. But that's her path now. I can't walk it for her. She leans in, voice dropping urgent. She regrets it, all of it. Says you're the only one who ever really saw her. Come over? Just once. For old times. Old times. Flashback. Us 3 at holiday parties. Chloe's arm looped in mine. Now. Pawn in her plea. No. Tell her I'm wishing well, but that's it. Sarah deflates. But not before the kicker. Chloe's follow-up text from a burner. Sarah says you're open? Lily's got your smile. We need you, Alex. I was wrong, come home. Wrong? Too late for edits. I delete, order another coffee to go. By month 2, true colors bled through, anger masking the void. Drunk dial at midnight, doorbell first, then pounding. I peer through the peephole, Chloe, disheveled in yoga pants, Lily slung in a carrier, eyes wild. Wine on her breath. Alex, open up, I know you're in there. Neighbor's lights flicker on, I crack the door chain. Chloe, it's late. Go home. She jabs a finger, carrier bouncing the baby awake. Home? You stole it. Ghosting me while I drown. Lily screaming all night. Jen is useless. Mom and dad act like I'm toxic waste. This is your fault, parading that test like a trophy. You're pathetic, hiding in this dump while I suffer alone. Suffer. The word from her lips, after she'd wielded it like a blade. You made choices, Chloe. Own them. My voice even, door easing shut. She rams it with her shoulder, voice cracking furious. Own them. You owe me. 7 years of your loyalty bullshit, and you bail? Ryan was a mistake. Fun. Yeah, but you're the rock. Admit it, you missed this. She gestures wild, baby wailing now. Hypocrisy dripped. Blaming me again, twisting reconciliation into demand. From the hall, A slurred, "Please, Alex." For her. But eyes? Pure rage, entitlement unmasked. I unchain fully, step out to block the threshold. No more. This ends tonight. Shut the door firm, lock clicking. Her sobs echo down the stairs. Asshole. You'll regret. Fading to a cab's rumble. Phone buzzes after. Jenna's email, forwarded sob story. Chloe's broken. Intervention time. Reply or we all cut you out. Cut away, I think. Spam folder. The attempts piled. Texts from burners. Mutuals as mouthpieces, but each chipped her facade. Power flipped. Her begging, me unmoved. Growth showed in my calm. Boundaries like armor, not walls. She's irrelevant. I journal post-incident. A storm passed. Desperation peaked. Then, the final knock. 8 months post-betrayal. Lily's half-year mark, if calendars held weight. I'd upgraded. New apartment overlooked the river, balcony for morning coffees, a life stitched from solos and small wins. Dating? One steady. Emma, quiet strength, no rush. Work hummed. Therapy tapered to monthly check-ins. Chloe? Distant echo. Attempts dwindled to weekly pings I ignored. The leak's fallout lingered. Her isolated, me insulated. Then the doorstep, unannounced Saturday dusk. Doorbell chimes. I check the peephole. Chloe, gaunt in a hoodie, Lily balanced on her hip. Chubby cheeks, tuft of dark hair. Carrier slung empty. Desperation etched in smudged mascara. Neighbors mill the hall. Public enough for spectacle. I open halfway, chain on. Chloe. Her eyes lock. Pleading, fractured. Alex, thank God. I had to see you. Lily's teething. Fevers, nothing works. I can't. I drove 3 hours. Please. She shifts the baby forward, like an offering. Lily gurgles, oblivious, tiny fist waving. Not mine, but the sight tugs. Phantom, not pull. I hold the door steady, voice level. What do you want? She swallows, words tumbling. Help. Anything. Advice, a night off. She's got your eyes, see? That blue. We could co-parent? Or more. I ended it with everyone. Friends, the lies. Ryan was nothing. You were. Everything. I see it now. Come back. For us. Tears track, but no fire, just hollow need. The carrier thumps her leg. She winces, Lily fussing. 8 months. Her, us a relic. Irrelevant, the word anchors me. No sympathy, no what-ifs. Just facts, my piece the priority. You made your choice, Chloe. You chose him to be the father. That has nothing to do with me. Pause. Eyes steady on hers. Then Lily's, brief, neutral. Do not contact me again. Her face crumples, shocked to shatter. Alex, no, wait. She's family. You can't just... I close the door, chain rattling final. Muffled. Please. I'm sorry, God, the things I said. Fades to hiccup sobs, footsteps retreating. Through the peephole, her silhouette slumps against the wall, rocking Lily, then straightens, defeated march to the stairs. Inside, I lean back, exhale long. Heartbreak, replaced by resolve, solid as the door between us. No glance back. Emma texts, movie tonight? I reply yes, pour a drink, jazz low. Chapter closed. Her chaos? Her echo. My life. Thriving, unscripted. Reddit. That's the arc. Betrayal's gut punch to freedom's stride. No revenge, just release. If you're in the thick, walk with dignity. The silence heals. Karma? It whispers, not shouts. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.
My girlfriend blocked me on everything after I tried to talk about our future. I couldn't reply. So I emailed her landlord and withdrew as the guarantor on her lease. She was left frantically calling me after receiving an eviction notice. I, through mail, think I'm finally done. It's funny how a whole future can just vanish. One minute you're picking out paint swatches, the next you're staring at a generic profile icon where a smiling face used to be. Leslie, 29. And I have been together for 3 years. It felt serious. I thought it was serious. We talked about everything, or so I believed. Marriage, kids, the kind of dog we'd get, a goofy golden retriever was the final verdict. 6 months ago she found the perfect apartment, a little one-bedroom with a balcony she adored. The catch? Her freelance income wasn't quite stable enough for the landlord. She was devastated. I didn't hesitate. I told her I'd be the guarantor on the lease. It felt like a natural step, a tangible piece of our shared future. My signature on that document felt like a promise. We spent weeks making it a home. My money, mostly. My labor, entirely. I assembled the flat-pack furniture until my hands were raw, hung the gallery wall she designed, and paid for the ridiculously expensive linen curtains she said she couldn't live without. I also paid the $2,850 security deposit. A gift, I told her. An investment in us. Last Tuesday, I brought it up. The future. Not in a pushy way, just a real way. I mentioned that with my lease ending in 4 months, maybe it was time to officially look for a place together. A 2-bedroom. Something that was ours, not just hers with my name on the paperwork. Her face tightened. The shift was so subtle I almost missed it. She said she was tired, that it wasn't the right time for a heavy conversation. Fine. I dropped it. The next day, she was distant. Texts went unanswered for hours. When she did reply, it was one-word answers. By Thursday, I knew something was wrong. I called her. It went straight to voicemail. I checked her social media. Gone. Blocked. I was staring at a blank space where our life together used to be. I felt a flash of hot, blinding panic. Did something happen to her? I drove to her apartment. Her car was there. The lights were on. I could hear music playing. I knocked. No answer. I used my key, the one she gave me. The first thing I saw was a pair of muddy Adidas sneakers on the new rug near the door. Size 11 at least. I'm a size 9. They weren't mine. And standing in the kitchen, laughing with Leslie, was Philip. A guy from her yoga studio she'd mentioned a few times. The way he had his hand resting on the small of her back, it wasn't friendly. They both froze when they saw me. Leslie's face was a mask of guilt. Philip just looked annoyed, like I was an inconvenience. "What are you doing here?" Leslie asked, her voice thin. "You blocked me," I said, my own voice sounding hollow. I was worried. "You should have called," she said, not meeting my eyes. "I did. You blocked my number." The silence was deafening. Philip, to his credit, at least had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable. He took a step back from her. "I think you should go," she finally whispered. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. That's not my way. The hurt was a physical thing, a cold, heavy weight in my chest, but my mind was surprisingly clear. I just looked at her, at the apartment I had helped build, at the man who was wearing his shoes on the rug I paid for. I turned around, left the key on the little table by the door, and walked out. I sat in my car for a long time. The anger came, but it wasn't hot. It was cold, methodical. The betrayal wasn't just about Philip. It was the cowardice, the complete and utter disrespect. She couldn't even grant me a conversation. She just deleted me. So I acted. I went home, pulled up the digital copy of her lease agreement, the one I had saved because I'm meticulous about paperwork. I read the guarantor clause very, very carefully. It stated the guarantor could withdraw their support with written notice to the landlord, after which the tenant would have 30 days to provide a new guarantor or vacate the premises. My hands were steady as I composed the email. Subject: withdrawal of guarantor status for lease at apartment address, Unit 7B, tenant, Leslie Mills. Dear Mr. Russell, please accept this email as formal written notice that I am withdrawing as the financial guarantor for the lease agreement of the above-mentioned property, effective immediately. As per the terms of the agreement, I understand this initiates a 30-day period for the tenant, Miss Leslie Mills, to secure an alternative guarantor. Thank you for your understanding. Sincerely, my full name. My contact information. I hit send. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday night. I blocked her number. I blocked her on the one social media app she'd forgotten about. Then I turned off my phone and slept better than I had in weeks. Update 1. The weekend was quiet. Too quiet. A tense, humming silence where communication used to be. I spent it purging my apartment of her, the framed photos, the stupid ceramic mug, the extra toothbrush. It was cathartic. I felt a strange sense of peace. The hurt was still there, a dull ache behind my ribs, but it was being overshadowed by a feeling of clarity. The storm broke on Tuesday afternoon. Just as I suspected, Mr. Russell, being an old-school professional, didn't act on a late-night email over the weekend. He waited until Monday to process it, drafted a formal letter, and had it sent by courier. My phone, which I had turned back on, started vibrating against my desk. It didn't stop. A string of calls from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, another call from a different unknown number. And another. Then came the emails. My inbox exploded. The first one was from Leslie, her tone frantic. Subject, call me right now. What did you do? I just got a letter from my landlord. An eviction notice. It says you withdrew as guarantor? Is this a joke? It says I have 30 days to find a new one or I'm out. You can't do that. Call me immediately. This is insane. It wasn't an eviction notice, of course. It was a notice to cure or quit, a formal warning. But her panic was real. 5 minutes later, another one. Subject, seriously, answer your phone. My dad can't do it. His credit is a mess. You know that. You're trying to make me homeless. After everything, this is how you react? Unbelievable. You're being so childish. The lack of self-awareness was staggering. The sheer, unadulterated entitlement. There was no apology, no acknowledgement of the Adidas sneakers or the man attached to them. Just rage that her safety net had been pulled away. Then Philip decided to weigh in. An email from his account. Subject, a word, dude. I don't know what your problem is, but you need to fix this. Leslie is a wreck. You're putting her in a terrible position because you got your feelings hurt. Whatever happened between you two is your business, but messing with her housing is way over the line. Man up and call her landlord back. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. That one almost made me laugh. I was that guy. The guy who paid the security deposit. The guy who assembled her bed. The guy she hid from while she entertained her new boyfriend. I didn't reply to any of them. Instead, I started a new folder in my email account. I labeled it correspondence. I saved screenshots of the emails. I documented the call log. I was building a record. It felt like the right thing to do. The methodical thing to do. Leslie must have realized her anger wasn't working because the tone of her emails shifted around midnight. The rage was replaced by a cloying, manipulative sweetness. Subject, please. Okay, I know you're hurt. I should have told you about Philip. I was scared. It just happened, but we can talk about this. Please don't do this to me. I love that apartment. It's my home. Our home. Remember how excited we were when we found it? Let's not throw everything away over a stupid fight. Our home. She had the audacity to call it our home. I thought about her panic, her world being upended not by some grand, elaborate scheme, but by a single, quiet email and the predictable, bureaucratic process that followed. The satisfaction I felt wasn't about revenge, it was about balance. It was about the world making sense again. Update 2. The desperation has escalated. When the direct approach failed, Leslie and Philip pivoted to social pressure. It started with a text from a mutual friend, Alexis. Hey, I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but Leslie called me, crying. She said you're trying to get her kicked out of her apartment? Is everything okay? This was the part I was dreading, but also the part I had prepared for. I refused to let them control the narrative. Me, hey Alexis, I appreciate you reaching out. It's a difficult situation. The short version is that I went to her apartment last week after she stopped responding to me, and I found her with someone else, a guy named Philip. She had blocked me without a word. The only thing I did was remove myself from a legal and financial obligation I was no longer comfortable with. Her housing situation is a direct consequence of her own choices. I'm truly sorry she's upset, but I didn't create this problem. I hit send. It was factual, calm, and void of any overt anger. A few hours later, Alexis replied. Alexis, oh, wow, she did not mention that part. At all. I'm so sorry. One by one I got similar messages. I gave them all the same concise explanation. The tide of sympathy, I imagine, did not flow in the direction she had hoped. Meanwhile, Leslie seems to have realized that her name is on the lease, but my money paid for almost everything inside. A new email arrived. Subject, the apartment stuff. Since you're being like this, I'll need you to come get your things. But we need to discuss what's yours. The couch, for instance. I picked it out. And the TV. I use it every day. It seems unfair for me to lose my home and my furniture. I think a fair solution would be for you to let me keep the main things, couch, bed, TV, kitchen table, and you can take the bookshelf and the lamp. Also, you owe me for half of the last 2 hydro bills. I read the email twice, the sheer nerve. She wanted me to leave thousands of dollars of furniture as a parting gift for her infidelity, and she wanted me to pay her for hydro. My response was immediate. I created a spreadsheet, column A, item. Column B, purchase price. Column C, link to the online receipt. Column D, Owner, my name was in every single cell. At the bottom, a separate entry. Security deposit, $2,850, paid by my name. I attached the spreadsheet to my reply. Subject re, the apartment stuff. Leslie, I have attached a list of my personal property currently in your possession. As you can see, the furniture and electronics are my property. I am not asking for the hydro bills. Please consider my payment of your utilities for the last 6 months as a gift. I am available to retrieve my belongings this coming Saturday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Please ensure everything is accessible. I will be bringing a friend to help me move. Regarding the $2,850 security deposit which I paid, I will be formalizing my claim to have it returned to me by the landlord upon the termination of your lease. I suggest we coordinate to make this process smooth. Thank you. The response from Philip was almost instantaneous. Subject, unbelievable. Are you kidding me? A spreadsheet? You're really going to take a girl's bed? We're not leaving you a dime of the security deposit. You gave that to her as a gift. You can't just take back a gift. A written admission of their intent. I dragged it right into my correspondence folder. They still don't get it. They think this is an emotional drama. It's not. It's just paperwork. It's just cause and effect. Final update. It's over. The dust has settled, and the final picture is clearer than I could have imagined. The moving day was an exercise in tense silence. I showed up at 10 a.m. with my friend Randy. Philip was there, standing behind Leslie with his arms crossed. Leslie had tried a new tactic. She had moved the small things into a pile by the door. The major furniture was still arranged perfectly. That's what you can take, she said. I didn't argue. I simply told her, the alternative to this being a smooth process is me requesting a civil standby from the police to prevent a breach of the peace while I retrieve my documented property. It's your choice, but either way, my things are leaving today. The phrase civil standby and the implication of uniformed officers at her door did the trick. She and Philip stood by in furious silence as Randy and I dismantled and moved everything. The couch, the TV, the dining set, the bed. As we carried the mattress out, I caught her eye. There was no remorse. Just the frantic look of someone who had fundamentally miscalculated. She had gambled that I would be too heartbroken to be rational. She lost. The security deposit became the final chapter. As they'd made their position clear, I took the next logical step. I sent a formal, certified letter to Mr. Russell. In it, I stated that I was the original payer of the $2,850 deposit, attached the bank statement as proof, and formally requested that upon the termination of Miss Leslie Mills' tenancy, the deposit and any accounting of deductions be sent directly to my address. I sent a copy to Leslie so she knew it was official. The ball was out of her court. I heard through Alexis that Leslie couldn't find a new guarantor. Philip, it turns out, talks a big game but has a credit score that would make a loan shark laugh. He wasn't an option. With the 30-day deadline approaching, she was forced to give notice and break her lease. About 2 weeks after she moved out, I received an envelope from Mr. Russell's management company. Inside was a check and a statement. He had deducted $600 for a lease-breaking fee and some minor cleaning charges, as per the agreement. The check was for the remaining $2,250. Some people might have let the $600 go. I am not some people. It was my money, and her actions caused the deduction. I filed a claim in small claims court for exactly $600, citing the lease-breaking fee as a direct result of the situation she created. I attached her emails and Philip's, showing their refusal to cooperate. Faced with a court summons, a mountain of evidence, and the prospect of explaining all this to a judge, she folded. 2 days before the court date, I received an e-transfer for $600. No message. Just the money. I canceled the claim. Leslie and Philip are apparently living in his tiny shared bachelor apartment across town. Their social circle has shrunk considerably now that the full story is known. As for me, I'm good. The other night I was putting together a new bookshelf in my apartment, my own apartment, that feels fully mine. The cold anger has faded, replaced by a quiet sense of satisfaction. Not a gleeful feeling of revenge, but the simple contentment that comes from restoring order. They'll never see their own actions as the catalyst. In the story they tell, I'm sure I'm the cold, calculating monster. And that's okay. I don't need them to get it. I didn't do it for them. I did it for me. I closed the file.
My golden sister sent me a housewarming registry, a 70-inch TV, a luxury sofa, and $20,000 toward renovations. I said, dream on. She snapped, then you're not invited. So I stayed home. And what happened next had even our parents blaming her. When I first saw my sister Kylie's text, I thought it was one of those ridiculous memes she always sends. It just said, "Hey sis. Here's our housewarming registry, can't wait to see what you pick." I didn't open it right away. I was at work, buried in emails, and honestly I rolled my eyes and assumed it was something lighthearted, maybe a little wish list on Amazon with a few kitchen things or a throw blanket. She and Sean had just moved into Grandma Dolores's house a few weeks before. That house had been sitting empty since the spring, and it still smelled like mothballs and lemon cleaner last I checked. But later that evening, after I poured myself a glass of wine, I remembered her message and finally clicked the link. I swear I sat there with my mouth open for a full minute. It wasn't a regular registry. It wasn't even a wish list. It was more like a corporate-level, meticulously organized, hyperlinked spreadsheet with categories labeled essential luxury and must-haves before the holidays. There were columns for item names, prices, preferred colors, and even expected delivery windows. It had everything from a $6,000 leather sectional to a $1,200 standing mixer in some custom metallic color. A designer floor lamp that cost more than my first car. And right in the middle of the spreadsheet between the kitchen and living room tabs was one labeled cash support. That's where I found it. Bolded. Highlighted. Suggested donation toward renovation fund. $20,000. And then the note underneath. Amanda, we're counting on you for this one. I actually said nope out loud. I closed the laptop and sat back trying to process what the hell I just saw. This wasn't a wedding registry. This wasn't even a baby shower. This was Kylie and Sean moving into a house they got for free, and somehow I was expected to bankroll their HGTV fantasy. I should have ignored it. Let it sit. But I couldn't. I called her that night. She answered like nothing was weird. Started talking immediately about paint colors, the price of quartz countertops, and how she'd finally found the perfect chandelier for the foyer. I listened, biting my tongue, and then asked her directly if she was being serious with the registry. He said she was. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. Said that I always helped. That I had more than enough, and it was just money. That she and Sean were building their life, and needed support from people who care. I told her I wasn't sending $1. Not one. He didn't yell. She didn't cry. He just said flatly, "Then you're not invited." And hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time after that. Not because I was surprised. Honestly, Kylie's always had a streak of entitlement, but because it was the first time she'd been that blunt about it. Like I was some ATM with a sisterly nickname. The party was that Saturday. I stayed home. Didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't explain. Just sat on the couch, watched terrible reality TV and let it blow over. Around 7 p.m. my phone started buzzing. First my cousin Rachel. Then Aunt Jen. Then our mom. Kylie hadn't told them anything except that I bailed. Rachel said the mood shifted the moment people realized I wasn't there. Apparently, Kylie got snippy and started acting like the victim. Said I'd abandoned the family moment. But I didn't owe anyone an explanation. Not anymore. 2 days later I got a message from my dad. Simple. Kylie told us what happened. We need to talk. I braced for a lecture. But when I called it was different this time. He was quiet. Calm. And after I told him the whole story there was a long pause. Then he said one thing that changed everything. "This isn't the first time she's done something like this, is it?" That's when I knew the tide was turning. And Kylie had no idea what was coming next. After that call with my dad I had this strange feeling, like something in the air had shifted. It wasn't just that he believed me. It was the way he said it. Like maybe for the first time someone else was seeing Kylie the way I had for years. He asked how much she'd taken. Not just the $20,000 she casually asked for in the registry, the rest. I told him everything. The $3,000 emergency loan, last November when Sean supposedly got laid off. Never repaid. The time she used my credit card to buy essentials, and racked up $1,700 at Anthropologie and a weekend spa resort. I had to cancel the card. I'd covered her rent twice back when she was figuring things out. That's not even counting the gifts, the trips, or the time I paid the deposit for her dog's surgery because she said he was like family. It added up. Easily close to 10 grand. He was quiet. Then he said almost like to himself, "We should have seen this sooner." And just like that the spell started breaking. The next day my mom called. I could tell she'd already spoken to my dad, because she didn't defend Kylie the way she usually did. Instead she asked what really happened with the registry. I forwarded her the spreadsheet. 5 minutes later she texted back. Wow. That same day I got a message from Rachel. She said Kylie had asked her for $250, claiming the furnace might need to be replaced. Rachel didn't know what to do, but now that she saw the registry too, she was furious. Said she'd also lent Kylie money back in June, a few $100 to hold her over. And once that conversation started, the rest came fast. Aunt Jen had spotted her for $100. Uncle Greg said she asked for a loan to help with property taxes, even though the house was fully paid off. A neighbor painted her garage as a favor, expecting at least gas money. Nothing. Another friend sent me a screenshot where Kylie said she'd fallen behind on bills and needed help before Sean found out. She wasn't just borrowing. She was juggling. And I'll admit, once I realized the truth was coming out, I didn't stay quiet. I didn't blast her on social media. I didn't start fights. I just shared the facts. When people reached out, I showed them the same registry she'd sent me. I answered their questions without sugarcoating it. I told the truth, and that was enough. Kylie had always gotten away with this because no one compared notes. She isolated people, made everyone think she was desperate, broke, alone. Meanwhile, she was living rent-free in a 2-story house, ordering $90 candles and custom curtains. She played the victim beautifully until someone said no. My parents sat her down that weekend. I wasn't there, but my mom told me how it went. She said Kylie tried to cry her way through it. Blamed Sean. Blamed stress. Said I was twisting everything. When they pushed harder, she started lashing out. Claimed they were taking my side like always. Which is hilarious considering I've spent years being the family fixer while she played the struggling little sister. That's when my mom said it. We're not giving you another dollar. And then my dad added, if you can't manage this house on your own, maybe you shouldn't be living in it. Kylie flipped. She called me that night and left a voicemail saying I'd ruined her. That I turned the family against her and destroyed everything. I didn't call back. But while she was busy spinning, she forgot something. Something I gave her 6 months ago. Something I had a receipt for. And I decided I was taking it back. 6 months ago, when Kylie moved into Grandma Dolores' house, she stood in the doorway acting like she just stepped into her own personal fairy tale. She called it their forever home, even though she didn't lift a finger to earn it. Just inherited it outright like some kind of reward for simply existing. I remember she hugged me tight that day. Said something like, "You always come through for me, Amanda. I don't know how I'd do this without you." And like an idiot, I smiled and handed her the housewarming gift I had lugged over with the delivery crew. A brand new washer and dryer set. Top of the line. Stainless steel. Digital touch screen. Energy efficient. The works. I paid for installation and haul away. Cost me just over $2,200 with taxes. At the time I told myself it was a gesture of love. A practical gift. Something she truly needed. But now, after the registry, after the lies, the manipulation, the tantrum she threw when I refused to fund her fantasy home renovation, that washer and dryer felt like a mistake. One I could still fix. I went digging through my emails, found the invoice, called the appliance store and explained the situation. To my surprise, they said yes. Their policy allowed retrieval and store credit if the item was under warranty, in good condition and purchased within the year. So I scheduled the pickup. 3 days later, I showed up with the delivery truck. Not out of spite but out of principle. She hadn't earned it. And I was done giving. When we pulled up, Kylie's car wasn't in the driveway. But Sean's was. He opened the door and just stared at me for a moment. He didn't even ask what I was doing. I told him calmly that the washer and dryer were still in my name. I had the receipt and the store had approved the pickup. He stepped aside without a word. The movers went in, disconnected everything, wrapped the cords, patted the units and rolled them right out the door. I thought maybe Sean would get angry or ask me to reconsider. But instead he sat down on the stairs and watched them carry it out like it was the end of something he'd been expecting for a while. As I was signing the paperwork outside, he stood in the doorway and said, "She told me you flipped out over nothing. But now that I've seen everything, I don't even know who I married." I didn't answer. There was nothing to say. The next morning, Kylie called me 4 times. I didn't pick up. Then she texted a long paragraph accusing me of publicly humiliating her and violating her space. Said I was making things worse between her and Sean. Claimed she was crying so hard she couldn't breathe. That I never truly supported her, and she always felt like I looked down on her. I didn't respond. She called our mom next. Same routine. Said I stole from her. My mom asked her if she'd paid for the appliances. Kylie said, "Well, that's not the point." But by then it was very much the point. Because it wasn't just about the washer and dryer anymore. This was the moment the illusion cracked. By the end of that week, Sean moved out. No drama, no fight. He just left. Took a duffel bag and his gaming console. Told my cousin, who lives a few blocks away, that he was going to stay with a friend for a bit and needed space. Apparently he'd had no idea how bad things had gotten, financially, emotionally, everything. Kylie had been telling him she had support, that the family was helping them get settled. He never saw the full registry. I guess she only showed him the parts that made her look reasonable. But once he saw the full thing, he was done. The washer and dryer being gone was just the final straw. It wasn't just a loss of convenience, it was symbolic. That's what my cousin said. He told her, if Amanda's taking back gifts, there's more to this story. Then, like dominoes, the rest started falling. Rachel asked for her money back. Kylie couldn't pay. Aunt Jen stopped replying to her texts. Uncle Greg left her on read. Our mom told her they wouldn't be giving her another cent. Dad said if she couldn't handle basic upkeep on the house, maybe she wasn't ready to own one. Kylie spiraled. She posted some passive-aggressive quote about betrayal from within your own bloodline on Facebook, then deleted it an hour later. Probably because no one liked it. But while she was busy trying to control the damage, she forgot something else. Something she'd borrowed from me last year. Something I hadn't mentioned to anyone yet. And this time I wasn't just taking it back. I was going to make sure it cost her. There was still one thing Kylie had of mine. Something she probably assumed I'd either forgotten or forgiven. But I hadn't done either. Last year she called me during a work meeting, borderline hysterical, saying her car had broken down and Sean couldn't get to work. Claimed the timing belt had snapped, the mechanic wouldn't release the car without full payment, and she didn't have the money. I remember stepping out into the hallway and wiring her $1,800 before even finishing my coffee. She promised to pay me back in 60 days. Said she just needed to get through this month. A year later she hadn't paid a dime. When I brought it up months back, she acted confused. Said she thought it was a gift, since I never pushed her about it. She literally shrugged and said, "Oh my God, I totally forgot about that." I didn't forget. So I filed a small claims suit. Quietly. No threats, no dramatic warning call. I printed everything. The bank transfer, our text thread, the mechanic's invoice she forwarded to me. I organized it in a neat folder and dropped it off at the courthouse like I was mailing a birthday card. She was served on a Tuesday afternoon. I know because she left me 2 back-to-back voicemails. The first yelling, the second crying. She called me heartless. Said I had no clue what she was going through. That I was just like Mom, always holding money over people's heads. No apology. Just deflection. And then something happened that neither of us saw coming. I was on the phone with Rachel the next day. We weren't even talking about Kylie. I was venting about work when Rachel suddenly asked, "Did you hear Sean was at Aunt Jen's last night?" No, I hadn't. Apparently he'd shown up to talk about the house. Not to gossip, he had questions. He was confused. Confused because, as Rachel put it, he thought the house was also in his name. He believed Kylie had added him to the deed right after the wedding. That's what she'd told him. But she hadn't. Grandma Dolores left the house to Kylie and only Kylie. And not only had she never added Sean to the deed, she'd also taken out a home equity line of credit behind his back. She told the bank it was for home improvements. She told Sean she didn't have any money. But she'd been sitting on nearly $50,000 from that loan. And here's where it got really messy. Sean found the paperwork by accident. He was going through mail one morning, saw a statement from the bank with a credit draw listed, and the loan wasn't in both their names. Just hers. That's when he checked the deed. He wasn't on it. At all. He was living in a house he thought was half his. He'd put money into it, paid for new gutters, landscaping, even a contractor for a bathroom quote. But legally it wasn't his house. And she'd never planned for it to be. He packed a duffel bag and left. Just like that. Kylie didn't even know he was gone until she came back from Target that afternoon and found his closet half empty. No note. Just silence. When she finally got a hold of him, he told her the truth. That he knew about the loan. That he knew about the lie. That he didn't trust her anymore. Then he hung up. She called me the next morning. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail, her voice trembling, saying she never meant for this to go this far. That she was just overwhelmed, and she missed me. That everything was so complicated right now, but she needed her sister. Still no real apology. Just a half-baked attempt at guilt and nostalgia. And while I was sitting there staring at her missed call, thinking about whether I even wanted to hear what she had to say, I got another call. This time from a lawyer. Not mine. Grandma's. Apparently in her original will, not the one Kylie flaunted, there was a clause. A quiet little addendum no one had really paid attention to. It had been brushed aside during probate because the house was still left to Kylie. But now, given the loan and Kylie's current legal situation, the clause was being revisited. And it mentioned me. The call from Grandma Dolores's lawyer hit me like a brick. He introduced himself politely, said he was following up on something that had resurfaced. Apparently, now that Kylie had taken out a home equity loan, missed payments were starting to catch up with her. The bank was looking into the title again, and in doing so someone pulled the full estate file. That's when they found it. A clause buried in Grandma's original will. Not the final revision Kylie always waved around like a trophy, but the one before that. It was a fallback condition, written in if the heir proved financially irresponsible, indebted, or otherwise compromised the integrity of the estate. That clause named me as successor. Basically, if Kylie messed things up badly enough, the house wouldn't just stay hers. Could be transferred to me. It was rare, the lawyer said, but not impossible. And given the current situation, the bank had flagged it. I didn't even know how to respond. I just sat there on the phone in silence while he walked me through what that would mean. Kylie had taken out a $50,000 line of credit against a house she owned outright. She'd already missed one payment and was on the edge of default. If the bank foreclosed and saw the clause, and if I chose to pursue it, I could take the house. The same house she demanded $20,000 from me to renovate. The same house she lied about to her husband. The same house I gave her a washer and dryer for, and then took them back. Now it was potentially mine. The lawyer told me to think about it. He said I didn't have to act now, but the opportunity was real, and there was a legal path to enforce it if Kylie continued to default or attempt to sell without paying the loan back. I got off the phone and just sat there. I couldn't believe how fast everything had turned. Not just the money, not just the lies, the house. The one thing Kylie used to dangle over everyone's head. Her dream home. Her forever. I didn't call her. I didn't gloat. I didn't tell anyone except Rachel, who screamed into the phone when I told her. Meanwhile, Kylie was spiraling. After Sean officially filed for separation, she started posting cryptic things online. Song lyrics. Bible verses. Quotes about betrayal. Then came the GoFundMe. I'm not kidding. She actually made a GoFundMe. Said she was facing unexpected housing costs and rebuilding after family abandonment. The goal? $35,000. I sent it to our parents. My dad just replied with a single word. Unreal. Our mom tried to talk to her again. One last time. She told Kylie that she needed to stop pretending the world owed her something. That maybe this was the moment to step back and take responsibility. Kylie hung up on her mid-sentence. So here I was, sitting on a legal option to take her house, while she was begging strangers on the internet to pay for her irresponsibility. And yet, somehow she still didn't see the point. She texted me a week later. This time she did apologize. Sort of. Said she understood now that she might have overstepped, and that she missed having me in her life. I stared at the message for a while. Then I thought about the almost $10,000 I'd spent on her over the years. The holidays I'd covered. The furniture I'd helped her buy. The time I watched her dog for 3 weeks while she went to a yoga retreat. Then I thought about Grandma. How she always said, kindness isn't free. You pay for it with your time and your energy, and sometimes with your peace. And I realized I'd paid enough. But I wasn't going to destroy her. I wasn't going to take the house just to prove a point. I'd wait. Let her keep it for now. Because life was already unraveling faster than I could have planned. And I knew something she didn't. The loan repayment was due again in 11 days. And if she missed it, I'd be ready. 11 days later, I got the email I was half expecting. It was from the bank's legal department, Seehinji Grandma's estate lawyer. The subject line was clinical, delinquency notification, home equity loan property, 1147 South Maple. But the meaning hit hard. Kylie had missed her second payment. The grace period was over. The property was now at risk of default. And just like that, the clause kicked in. Grandma had always been sharp. Sharp enough to see Kylie for who she was, even if she never said it out loud. That clause wasn't just there by accident. It was her way of giving me a quiet shield. A way to fix what Kylie might someday break. The lawyer walked me through the next steps. I had every legal right to pursue ownership of the house. Kylie couldn't block it. Not after defaulting and pulling a loan against the property under false renovation claims. I thought about it for a full day. Then I filed the petition. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about the house anymore. It was about the fact that Kylie had taken advantage of everyone, twisted every gift into a stepping stone for herself, and never once thought about what it cost the people around her. The day she got the official notice, she came straight to my door. I hadn't seen her in person in months. She looked different, tired, less polished. No fake lashes, no carefully planned outfit. Just a sweatshirt and old jeans. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She asked me if I was really going to take the house. I told her I didn't need to. The bank would do that for me. All I did was put my name back where Grandma wanted it to be. She stood there for a long time. Then she asked, "Is this really how it ends?" I told her no. This isn't the end. This is the result. A few weeks passed. The process moved faster than I expected. The house was now mine. Or rather, it would be in full within 90 days unless she came up with enough money to repay the loan. Which, given her GoFundMe was stuck at $670, wasn't happening. Her parents, our parents, made their position clear. They weren't giving her another cent. Aunt Jen blocked her. Rachel never spoke to her again after Kylie tried to guilt her into helping out just this once. And Sean, he didn't just leave her. He filed for divorce. No explanation, no back and forth. Just a signed packet delivered to her front step. Apparently, the lie about the house broke something he couldn't repair. But the surprise came at the very end. The same day the final transfer papers came through, I received a letter. Handwritten. It was from Kylie. 3 pages. No excuses. No manipulation. She admitted everything. The guilt, the lies, the money. She said she'd been selfish, arrogant, and blind. That she treated love like a transaction and only realized it when no one was left to pick up her pieces. She asked for one thing. A chance to rebuild something with me. Not money. Not help. Just time. I read it 3 times. I wanted to believe her. But here's the truth. I'd forgiven her too many times already. And while my parents were ready to give her a second chance, I wasn't. Not anymore. I'd keep the house. I'd keep my distance. And this time I'd keep my peace.
Day after the wedding, my wife pulled out a rules list. I smiled and said, Rule 1. This marriage is over. Looking back now, I should have seen it coming during those 10 days in Bali, but love makes you blind to manipulation when it's wrapped in white lace and promises. I'm Connor, 32, software architect at a Seattle tech firm, the kind of guy who believes in spreadsheets, transparency, and building something real with someone who actually wants the same future. I returned from what should have been the honeymoon of a lifetime to find Victoria, my wife of exactly 48 hours, conducting what I can only describe as a military debriefing with women I'd never met, their faces glowing on her laptop screen like some kind of digital tribunal. The strategic relationship framework enters implementation phase tomorrow, she announced to her screen, not realizing I'd walked through the door early. I stood there in our living room, jet-lagged and confused, watching my bride of 2 days discuss optimization targets and compliance metrics like she was launching a hostile corporate takeover instead of starting a marriage. During our honeymoon, I'd noticed her disappearing for hours, claiming exhaustion from the flight, the heat, the time difference, always with her laptop bag clutched tight against her designer resort wear. I'd find her in the business center at 2 a.m., typing furiously, her face illuminated by blue screen light and something that looked disturbingly like calculation. Just catching up on some emails, babe, she'd say with that practice smile, the one I'd thought was genuine affection but now recognized as rehearsed performance. I didn't push it because I trusted her, believed in giving space, thought I'd married someone who valued independence as much as partnership. The red flags I'd ignored started assembling themselves into a pattern I couldn't unsee. 3 months into dating, she'd started taking notes during our conversations, which she'd explained away as journaling about our relationship journey. 6 months in, she'd ask oddly specific questions about my daily routines, my decision-making processes, my relationship with my family, all framed as deep emotional connection but now feeling like intelligence gathering. By our engagement, she knew my passwords, my schedule, my vulnerabilities, every piece of information someone would need to systematically dismantle a person's autonomy. I discovered the spreadsheet by accident, reaching for her laptop to check flight details and finding a document titled Optimization Targets, with my name at the top, subsections labeled Financial Control Timeline, Social Isolation Benchmarks, and Emotional Dependency Metrics. Each entry was dated, categorized, color-coded by priority level, complete with percentage calculations of what she called my compliance readiness. My hands shook reading entries like, subject demonstrates 87% baseline agreeability, proceed to phase alpha deployment post-wedding, and successful conditioning during months 4 to 8 increased malleability by 23%. This wasn't a wife documenting our relationship, this was a predator tracking prey. Connor, you're home early. Victoria's voice snapped me back to reality, her laptop now closed, her smile now activated like a switch being flipped. The book club's coming over tomorrow for brunch. I know it's short notice, but they're so excited to finally meet my husband properly. Book club. The term she'd used for the past year to explain her twice-weekly evening disappearances, her weekend strategy sessions, her constant phone calls that would abruptly end when I entered the room. I'd met them briefly at the wedding, 6 women who'd hugged Victoria like co-conspirators rather than friends, who'd studied me with assessment rather than warmth. All of them? Tomorrow? We just got back. I thought we'd have some time to ourselves. My voice sounded normal, but my mind was racing through everything I'd just discovered. It's important, Connor. They're my accountability partners. We have matters to discuss regarding our marriage structure moving forward. Her tone shifted, became firmer, the sweetness evaporating. Accountability partners. Marriage structure. The corporate terminology sent ice through my veins. That night, I couldn't sleep. Victoria passed out immediately, probably exhausted from whatever strategic planning she'd been conducting while I thought we were celebrating our marriage. I sat in my home office and went through every file on her laptop using passwords she didn't know I'd documented. The folder labeled Project Alpha contained 3 years of my life, dissected and analyzed like a lab specimen. Screenshots of my text messages. Records of my spending patterns. Psychological assessments based on conversations she'd secretly recorded. Most chilling was the video file dated 1 week before our wedding, Victoria and her book club discussing implementation day. Phase Alpha deployment begins the day we return from Bali, Victoria's recorded voice explained to nodding heads. Subject shows 87% compliance readiness based on pre-wedding conditioning metrics. Subject. Not husband. Not Connor. I was a project, an acquisition, a target. I copied everything to an encrypted drive, documenting evidence of what I recognized as psychological warfare disguised as marriage. The 6 women arrived at exactly 10 a.m., each carrying matching black leather portfolios embossed with gold lettering reading Marital Excellence Protocol. Ashley led them in, followed by Jessica, the corporate attorney, Rachel, Stephanie, Jennifer, and Victoria's sister Danielle, all dressed like they were attending a Fortune 500 board meeting. They arranged themselves around my dining table with practiced coordination, opening identical documents that looked disturbingly official. Connor, what we're about to share represents 5 years of collaborative development. Ashley began, her tone professional and cold. The Marital Excellence Protocol has been refined across multiple relationships with remarkable success rates in achieving optimal partnership dynamics. I sat down, my smartwatch already recording, phone live streaming to secure cloud storage. Jessica slid a 47-page document across the table, complete with numbered sections and appendices. This covers all aspects of modern partnership optimization through systematic implementation of proven strategies. The table of contents made my blood run cold. Digital transparency requirements, financial submission protocols, social interaction guidelines, emotional availability assessments, privilege point system, consequence implementation framework. Rachel pulled out a presentation clicker, and a projector illuminated my wall with the first slide of a 200-slide PowerPoint. The requirements were insane: surrender all passwords for email, social media, banking, work systems, even my password manager master password. Install GPS tracking on my vehicle, enable constant location sharing, text check-ins every 2 hours. The financial submission protocols are particularly elegant, Jessica announced, clicking to the next section. I needed written permission for any purchase exceeding $25. My paycheck would go into an account Victoria controlled, with me receiving a weekly allowance based on my compliance score. All financial decisions required unanimous approval from their advisory board. We've developed an algorithm that analyzes your emotional state for concerning patterns, Jennifer added, like excessive independence, inappropriate emotional attachments, or resistance to framework implementation. I interrupted, voice controlled. You said refined across multiple relationships. Meaning you've implemented this with your own husbands. 6 heads nodded in synchronization. My husband Marcus has been on the protocol for 3 years, Ashley beamed. The transformation has been remarkable. Would you like to see the before and after assessments? She pulled out psychological evaluation reports, Marcus 1.0, independent, opinionated, exhibited masculine toxicity through desire for autonomy. Marcus 2.0, cooperative, agreeable, demonstrates healthy submission to partnership leadership. She described breaking down a human personality like it was a product relaunch. Rachel showed photos on her phone. This is David before, confident, assertive, had his own hobbies. And after, notice the softer expression, more agreeable posture, positioning himself behind me in photos indicating proper hierarchy recognition. The man had aged 10 years, eyes hollow, smile forced. Victoria pulled out a laminated chart. The privilege point system is brilliant. You start each week with 50 baseline points. Good behavior earns points, infractions result in deductions. Your total determines your privilege level, everything from movement restrictions to allowance amounts. Jennifer displayed the infraction list like a criminal code. Displaying independent thought during discussions, minus 10 points. Maintaining unapproved external relationships, minus 15 points and mandatory counseling. Questioning protocol validity, minus 25 points and weekend restriction. This is insane, I said. You're describing psychological abuse masquerading as relationship optimization. Ashley's expression hardened. See, this is exactly the toxic masculine resistance we anticipated. Jennifer, pull up the PowerPoint on dismantling patriarchal autonomy. For 45 minutes, I watched them present a masterclass in gaslighting backed by cherry-picked studies and fabricated statistics. Traditional male independence is a defense mechanism rooted in patriarchal conditioning, one slide proclaimed. They showed videos of their husbands giving testimonials that looked like hostage statements. The protocol saved our marriage, Marcus said on screen, eyes dead. I understand now that true partnership means submitting to my wife's vision for our life together. These transformations typically show initial resistance for 4 to 6 weeks, growing acceptance around month 3, full integration by month 6, Jessica explained. The key is unwavering implementation of consequences for non-compliance. Danielle pulled out another document detailing escalating punishments, starting with social isolation and restricted communication, moving through financial penalties and mandatory therapy, culminating in coordinated social destruction, career sabotage, and legal action. Most men never reach the severe consequence level, Ashley explained with chilling casualness. Once they understand the alternative, they choose compliance. They had built an entire infrastructure of control, manipulation, and abuse, calling it progress. I notice you haven't said much, Connor, Victoria observed, tone shifting to something dangerous. Are you processing or experiencing resistance? I met her eyes, seeing a stranger. I'm processing how 6 allegedly intelligent women convinced themselves that systematic abuse is relationship optimization. The room went silent, 6 faces hardening into identical expressions of cold fury, and I realized I'd just activated whatever escalation protocol they had prepared for this exact moment. Victoria's sister Danielle stood up so fast her chair scraped against my floor, face flushed with rage. You don't get to call us abusive. We're trying to help you become a better partner, but clearly you're too steeped in toxic masculinity to recognize evolution. I stayed seated, calm, my smartwatch capturing everything. Evolution? You've built a systematic method to destroy autonomy and call it progress. Ashley pulled out her phone, fingers flying across the screen. This is exactly why we have contingency protocols. Severe resistance detected, initiate phase beta immediately. Jessica the attorney smiled without warmth. Phase beta is what happens when subjects refuse voluntary compliance. We've prepared extensively for this scenario. She pulled out her tablet, swiping through legal documents. We have a comprehensive response framework. Within the next hour, unless you agree to full protocol implementation, we'll publish carefully crafted statements across all social platforms about your abusive behavior, psychological instability, betrayal of our marriage. Victoria nodded, expression cold and calculated. I've already drafted the posts. Screenshots of fake text conversations where you're verbally abusive, edited photos that make you look violent, testimonials from friends about concerning behavior. By tonight, everyone you know will see you as a monster. You're threatening to destroy my reputation because I won't submit to your control? I kept my voice level. This is extortion. It's consequences, Rachel corrected, tone like a teacher addressing a slow student. Your refusal to embrace the protocol is an action. We're implementing natural consequences. Stephanie leaned forward, marketing executive persona activated. We control the narrative. 6 voices to your 1. We have documentation, witnesses, coordinated strategy. Within 48 hours, we can make you unemployable, friendless, isolated. Or you choose cooperation. I pulled out my phone and 6 women tensed. What are you doing? Victoria demanded. Calling my attorney. I need legal representation for whatever fresh hell you're planning. Jennifer laughed. By all means. We've already prepared restraining order paperwork claiming you've become violent and threatening. Ashley's husband is a judge. We can have it expedited. You'll be removed from your own home by end of day. Community property laws are fascinating, Jennifer added smugly. With the right narrative about financial abuse, you controlling all money, forcing me to depend on you, I can claim half of everything. Victoria's smile was triumphant. We've thought of everything. Every possible resistance. We've been planning this for 3 years. You've been planning nothing because you thought we were in love. I stood up, and they tensed like I might become violent, phones ready to record. Instead, I walked to my office and returned with my laptop. Before you make that decision, maybe you should see what I discovered last night. I hit play on the video file from 1 week before our wedding, Victoria and her book club discussing implementation day, compliance metrics, treating me like a subject. Their faces went pale watching themselves reveal the conspiracy. That's illegal recording, Jessica sputtered. Washington is 2-party consent. Funny thing, it doesn't apply when recording in your own home. I have every right to record here, especially when I'm one of the parties present. I pulled up the next file, the spreadsheet, optimization targets, Victoria's 3-year documentation of treating me like an experiment. Then her journal detailing calculated deception, manufactured moments, strategic manipulation. You've documented everything. Every manipulation tactic, every strategic decision, every piece of psychological abuse. You created a comprehensive evidence trail of premeditated fraud. I showed financial records of Victoria funneling money from our joint account to her hidden, divorce war chest. Screenshots of her researching my ex, creating fake dating profiles to catfish me into thinking she was cheating. You sabotaged my previous relationship to isolate me. Manufactured an entire breakup so I'd be vulnerable when you swooped in. Jennifer had gone still, legal mind racing through implications. Where did you get those files? From Victoria's laptop. The one containing 3 years of documented fraud, conspiracy to commit multiple crimes, evidence of a criminal enterprise spanning 8 states affecting 47 men. I pulled up the server I'd found, comprehensive database tracking dozens of men across multiple states, vulnerability assessments, manipulation timelines, success metrics, training videos celebrating breaking men's spirits. You've been running an organized criminal operation. Insurance fraud, identity theft, financial exploitation, conspiracy across state lines. That makes this federal, ladies. FBI territory. Ashley's phone clattered on the table. You're bluffing. Am I? I showed the copied files, encrypted backups, evidence I'd been uploading since 2 a.m. I have everything. Every case file, every training video, every financial transaction. Your entire operation, documented and backed up in multiple secure locations. Victoria's mask cracked completely. Connors, please. We can work this out. I made mistakes. We can fix this. Think about our marriage, our future. Our marriage? We have a fraud scheme where I'm the victim and you're the con artist. My future involves annulment, restraining orders, and criminal prosecution. I pulled up another file. Let's talk about the anti-anxiety medication you've been putting in my coffee for 6 months. The keyloggers installed on my devices. The GPS trackers hidden in my car. That's criminal poisoning, illegal surveillance, stalking. I watched realization dawn. They'd been so confident, never considering I might be smarter, more prepared, more strategic. Here's what's going to happen. You're leaving my house. Packing Victoria's belongings today. Then waiting while I consult my attorney about how many criminal charges to file and how much evidence to turn over to federal authorities. They left within the hour, 6 women who'd walked in like conquerors departing like criminals fleeing a crime scene. I spent Sunday photographing everything they'd left behind, portfolios, printed protocols, laminated charts, creating a comprehensive evidence trail. But it was Victoria's personal journal that revealed the true depth of her calculated deception. 3 years of entries detailing every manipulation, every strategic decision, every moment she'd studied me like a lab rat. Month 2, subject demonstrates strong attachment to spontaneity. Must manufacture random encounters that feel organic while maintaining control. She'd orchestrated our chance coffee shop meeting, researched my routine for 3 weeks, positioned herself perfectly to seem like serendipity. Month 5, successfully identified primary vulnerability, fear of abandonment from childhood divorce. Implement periodic withdrawal to activate anxiety response, followed by reassurance to create dependency cycle. Every time she'd pulled away claiming she needed space, only to return with renewed affection, it was tactical. Training me to fear losing her. Month 8, subject's ex-girlfriend remains potential threat. Initiate digital interference operation. Screenshots documenting how she'd created fake dating profiles, catfished me into thinking my ex was cheating. My ex had been innocent, and I'd destroyed a real relationship based on Victoria's manufactured lies. Month 28, begins psychological conditioning for post-wedding compliance. Low-level benzodiazepines to reduce resistance response and increase agreeability. I found receipts for anti-anxiety medication, dosage calculations. She'd been drugging my coffee for 6 months, literally altering my brain chemistry to make me more malleable. Month 32, keylogger installation successful. Subject's digital communications now fully monitored. Password documentation complete. Every password I'd entered, she'd captured. Every email, message, private conversation, she'd read it all. The keyloggers were sophisticated, hidden deep in my system software. Month 34, GPS tracking devices installed. Location monitoring active. I found them, tiny trackers hidden in my car's undercarriage, sewn into my gym bag lining, embedded in my laptop case. She tracked my every movement for months. Month 35. Home security camera exploitation complete. Subject believes cameras are offline during privacy moments, unaware of secondary feed capturing all domestic behavior. My security cameras that showed offline when I wanted privacy, she'd hacked them, created hidden feeds recording everything. But her journal revealed something chilling. Derek, her previous victim. Derek, trial subject alpha initial protocol implementation failed due to rush timeline. Subject resisted and initiated divorce before full framework establishment. Lessons learned. Longer courtship required, deeper emotional investment necessary, comprehensive isolation protocols essential. I wasn't her first victim. I was her second attempt, refined based on previous failure. She'd targeted Derek for his wealth, pushed too hard, and he escaped. Derek's escape taught me patience. Connor will be different. 3 years of conditioning. By wedding day, he'll be so invested, so isolated, so psychologically prepared that protocol acceptance will feel inevitable. I found her psychological evaluation, the one she'd hidden throughout our relationship. Patient demonstrates persistent pattern of interpersonal exploitation, lack of empathy, grandiose sense of self-importance. Narcissistic personality disorder with antisocial traits. Recommendation, intensive therapy. Prognosis guarded. She wasn't capable of love. Every, I love you, had been calculated performance. Every tender moment had been strategic manipulation. My phone buzzed with a text from my attorney Marcus Chin. Reviewed the files. Most comprehensive fraud evidence I've seen in 20 years. Meet first thing Monday. Bring everything. Around 8 p.m., Victoria started calling from blocked numbers, unknown numbers, through social media. Finally, an email. Connor, please. We need to talk. You're blowing this out of proportion. We can fix this if you'll listen. I love you. Please don't destroy what we have over a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. Still trying to gaslight me into believing systematic abuse was a communication problem. I forwarded it to my attorney. Exhibit 47, continued manipulation attempts. My best friend Jake called. Dude, Victoria just called crying, saying you've had some kind of mental breakdown, making insane accusations. She sounds genuinely worried. What's going on? Phase Beta in action, the reputation destruction campaign. Jake, did she mention specifics? Something about you claiming she's part of a conspiracy, that she drugged you, that she and her friends run a criminal operation. Connor, this sounds like paranoid delusions. Have you been sleeping? Jake, come over. I have evidence that will explain everything. 1 hour. Victoria said you might be dangerous, that you've been acting erratic. We've been friends 15 years. You know me. When have I ever been violent? Please, just look at the evidence. If you think I'm delusional after, I'll check into a hospital tonight. Long pause. 1 hour. But I'm bringing someone for safety. Jake arrived with his girlfriend Sarah, both looking wary. I showed them everything: videos, journal entries, financial records, GPS trackers from my car. Their expressions changed from skepticism to horror. Holy shit, Jake said, face pale. She's actually insane. You need to go to the police right now. Monday morning. Meeting my attorney first, then filing criminal complaints and seeking emergency annulment. Sarah scrolled through Victoria's journal. This entry about your ex-girlfriend, she destroyed a real relationship. And this drugging, this is attempted poisoning. This is violent crime. My phone exploded with notifications. Victoria was executing her social media campaign. Instagram post, I never thought I'd write this, but I'm scared for my safety. My husband Connor has become violent and controlling, accusing me of impossible things, trying to isolate me. I'm staying somewhere safe. Please keep me in your thoughts. Photos of herself crying, looking terrified, playing the abused wife perfectly. Hundreds of comments, sympathy, outrage directed at me, offers of help, suggestions she file police reports. Let her post, I said, screenshotting everything. Every lie becomes additional evidence of fraud and defamation. She's creating the evidence trail that will destroy her in court. Monday morning, I walked into attorney Marcus Chen's office carrying 3 laptops, 2 external drives, and a folder thick with evidence. Marcus had handled complex cases for 20 years, but even he looked stunned as I laid out Victoria's operation. You're telling me she's been running this scheme across 8 states with 47 documented victims? I pulled up the server showing the comprehensive database Victoria's group had created. Each entry contained detailed profiles, photos, psychological assessments, financial records, manipulation timelines, success metrics. Nevada cluster, 6 men, all tech industry. Arizona has 8, mostly corporate executives. California has 12, finance to entertainment workers. Marcus scrolled through files, expression darkening. This is RICO territory. Racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations. They've created an interstate criminal enterprise. He clicked on Michael Patterson, Phoenix, Arizona, status, fully integrated. 3-year timeline of systematic manipulation, financial exploitation totaling $340,000, current status living under complete control. They have success metrics, I pointed out. Financial extraction amounts, compliance scores, isolation effectiveness ratings. They've turned psychological abuse into a measurable business model. Their training materials showed workshops teaching manipulation techniques, celebrating achievements. Ashley presenting her husband Marcus as a case study, displaying before and after psychological assessments like a product demonstration. The legacy project is particularly disturbing, I said, opening another folder. They're publishing their methods as a mainstream relationship book? Reclaiming Power, A Woman's Guide to Restructuring Modern Partnership. It's their abuse manual marketed as self-help. Marcus took notes, legal mind processing implications. Drugging is attempted poisoning, a felony. Keyloggers constitute illegal wiretapping. GPS tracking is stalking. Financial fraud across state lines invokes federal jurisdiction. This legacy project, conspiracy to promote criminal activity. There's more, I said, showing insurance fraud schemes. They coach each other on faking injuries. Here's staged accidents, fabricated medical reports, coordinated testimony. Rachel extracted $85,000 from her husband's auto insurance claiming permanent injury. And the consultation services? Marcus asked. They're selling customized manipulation plans for $5,000 each. 23 clients in 2 years. They provide personality assessments, vulnerability mapping, manipulation timelines, ongoing coaching. Email exchanges showed Victoria advising clients on drugging schedules, surveillance techniques, psychological pressure tactics. Marcus leaned back. This is the most comprehensive criminal conspiracy I've encountered. Dozens of felonies, federal crimes, interstate fraud, organized criminal enterprise. The evidence is overwhelming. What's our next move? Emergency annulment based on fraud. Restraining orders against Victoria and co-conspirators. I'm contacting the FBI immediately. This crosses state lines with enough financial fraud to trigger federal investigation. He paused. Connor, prepare yourself. Victoria's launched her reputation attack. When we go public, it gets worse before better. She'll fight back hard. Let her fight, I said. I have 3 years of documented evidence. She has lies. Truth wins in court. Marcus started drafting while I showed more evidence. Victoria's messages specifically targeting me because my tech industry connections and family wealth made me a premium acquisition. Calculations of my net worth, extraction projections, contingency plans for resistance. This is premeditated fraud at levels I've rarely seen, Marcus said. 3 years infiltrating your life with explicit intention of exploitation. This isn't a relationship gone bad. This is organized crime. My phone buzzed with Victoria using her friend's phone. Connor, please stop this insanity. I'm willing to forget everything if you just come home. This is our marriage. Don't throw it away over paranoid conspiracy theories. Marcus read over my shoulder. Document everything. Every contact attempt becomes evidence of continued manipulation and harassment. We spent 4 hours preparing filings. Annulment petition detailed fraud, criminal complaints outlined felonies, restraining order documented ongoing harassment. Marcus prepared a comprehensive FBI report with server access, financial records, victim database. I'm recommending we contact other victims, Marcus said. If half file complaints, Victoria and her group face decades in prison. Do it, I said. These men deserve to know they can escape. By 2 p.m., we'd filed emergency annulment, obtained temporary restraining orders, submitted criminal complaints to local police and FBI. Marcus contacted documentary filmmaker Rebecca Torres, who specialized in exposing criminal conspiracies. The scope means this becomes public eventually, Marcus explained. Better to control the narrative. Rebecca's won awards for investigative work. She could help expose this properly. I thought about 47 men still trapped, feeling isolated and helpless. Set up the meeting. If my story helps one person escape, it's worth it. That evening, I met Rebecca at a coffee shop. She'd built her career exposing institutional corruption. I showed her evidence and her eyes widened. Connor, this is a national story. An organized network systematically targeting men across multiple states using sophisticated psychological warfare. This could be one of the most significant domestic abuse exposés in years. When can you start filming? Tonight. I want to document everything before Victoria's group destroys evidence or coordinates defense. By 9 p.m., I was in front of Rebecca's camera telling my story while her team documented everything. We filmed for 6 hours covering honeymoon discovery to confrontation to evidence uncovered. Rebecca emphasized on camera, what Victoria did isn't just morally wrong, it's criminally wrong. She's part of an organization that has systematically targeted dozens of men. Next morning, Marcus called. FBI is opening formal investigation into interstate fraud, organized criminal conspiracy, wire fraud related to consultation services. They want to interview you this afternoon. The annulment? Judge granted it this morning based on fraud. Your marriage is legally void as of 10 a.m. Victoria is now a criminal defendant in multiple jurisdictions. Relief washed over me. 48 hours after discovering truth, I was legally free. Restraining orders approved. Victoria and 6 co-conspirators cannot contact you, come within 500 feet, or mention you on social media. Violation means immediate arrest. Best news came that afternoon. We've heard from 8 victims. 8 men ready to file complaints, ready to testify. 3 have evidence even more damning than yours: years of documented abuse, financial records showing hundreds of thousands in theft, evidence of Victoria's group coaching wives on falsifying domestic violence claims. The conspiracy was unraveling faster than Victoria could contain it. The nuclear option came Saturday, exactly 1 week after my honeymoon return. Victoria's parents were celebrating their 40th anniversary with a massive party at a country club, 60-plus guests including extended family, business associates, social connections from their entire community. They'd sent me the invitation months ago, back when I was supposed to be their beloved son-in-law. Now I was about to become their worst nightmare. I'd coordinated with Marcus and Rebecca to turn the anniversary party into a comprehensive exposure event. 8 victimized husbands agreed to confront their wives simultaneously, creating synchronized revelation across multiple households. Marcus had prepared legal documentation for each man, restraining orders, annulment papers, fraud charges ready for immediate filing. This is going to detonate like a nuclear bomb, Marcus warned. Victoria's entire social structure will collapse in real time. I walked into the country club ballroom where champagne flowed and classical music played, looking exactly like the successful son-in-law they expected. Victoria spotted me immediately, her face cycling through shock, panic, desperate calculation. She moved to intercept me, but I walked straight past her to the AV booth where Rebecca's team had positioned themselves. "Connor, what are you doing?" Victoria hissed, grabbing my arm. "You can't be here. The restraining order expires at midnight," I said, checking my watch. "It's 7:47. I have 2 hours and 13 minutes. Her mother approached, all smiles and ignorance. "Connor, we're so glad you could make it. Where's Victoria?" "Actually, Mrs. Harrison, I have something important to share with everyone. A special presentation about Victoria and her friends." I signaled Rebecca's team, who activated the massive projection screen. Victoria went pale as her optimization targets spreadsheet filled the screen, my name at the top, subsections labeled Financial Control Timeline and Emotional Dependency Metrics. "What is this?" her father demanded. "This is what your daughter has been doing for 3 years, I said, voice carrying across the increasingly silent ballroom. "Systematically manipulating and exploiting me as part of an organized criminal conspiracy." I clicked to the next slide, Victoria's journal entries detailing calculated deception, manufactured moments, strategic manipulation. Her mother read aloud, voice shaking. Subject demonstrates 87% compliance readiness. Proceed to phase alpha deployment. "Subject?" her father repeated. "You called him subject?" Victoria tried to grab the remote, but security guards blocked her. "Connor, please, this is insane. You're having a breakdown." I clicked to the video from 1 week before our wedding, Victoria and her co-conspirators discussing implementation day. The ballroom filled with their voices planning my psychological subjugation. Ashley's husband Marcus stood up, face gray. "What the hell is this, Ashley?" Across the room, David confronted Rachel. "You've been doing this to me? For years." I showed the comprehensive database tracking 47 men across 8 states, each profile containing vulnerability assessments and manipulation timelines. Victoria's parents stared in horror as I revealed their daughter's role as architect of an interstate criminal conspiracy. "The drugging is particularly egregious," I continued, showing receipts for anti-anxiety medication and Victoria's journal entries about dosage calculations. 6 months of putting benzodiazepines in my coffee. That's felony poisoning. Victoria's mother swayed, her husband catching her. Victoria, tell me this isn't true. It's all lies. He's manipulated these documents, fabricated everything. I clicked to the next evidence, GPS trackers from my car, keylogger screenshots, hacked security camera feeds. Every manipulation tactic documented. Every fraud scheme, every criminal act, every victim. And it's all been submitted to the FBI. The other husbands began their coordinated assault. Marcus played similar evidence on his phone. David projected Ashley's manipulation timeline. One by one, 8 men exposed their wives' participation in Victoria's criminal enterprise. The ballroom descended into chaos. Women screaming denials, men confronting decades of lies, guests recording everything, Victoria's parents collapsing into chairs as their daughter's true nature was revealed before their entire social circle. The best part, I announced, is what we found about her parents' money. I displayed financial records showing Victoria had stolen $50,000 from her parents' retirement fund to finance the operation. Account transfers, forged signatures, fabricated investment paperwork. Her father's face went from shock to rage. You stole from us? From your own parents. It was an investment in our future. Victoria screamed, all pretense abandoned. I needed capital to expand the consulting business. You mean systematic abuse, I said. You've been selling manipulation plans for $5,000 each, teaching other women how to drug, surveil, and exploit their husbands. Rebecca's cameras captured everything as Victoria's world imploded. Her friends tried to leave, but Marcus's process servers waited at every exit. Each woman received restraining orders, annulment papers, criminal complaints simultaneously. Ashley's husband threw his wedding ring at her feet. 17 years you've been manipulating me. Victoria's mother turned to her daughter, tears streaming. How could you do this? To Connor, to your own family, to all these people? Because I'm smarter than all of you. Victoria snapped, narcissism fully exposed. I saw inefficient relationships and created a better system. These men were weak, and I made them profitable. The ballroom went silent, everyone staring at Victoria's meltdown. Her carefully constructed mask had shattered, revealing the cold, calculating predator underneath. Her father pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. And our attorney. You'll pay back every cent you stole. You can't do this to me. Victoria shrieked. I'm your daughter. Family protects family. Family doesn't systematically abuse people, her mother said quietly. Family doesn't drug innocent men. Whatever you are, Victoria, you stopped being our daughter the moment you started this nightmare. Marcus stepped forward with legal documents. Victoria Harrison, you're being served with annulment papers based on fraud. Your marriage to Connor Hayes is hereby voided. You're also being served with restraining orders, criminal complaints for fraud, attempted poisoning, stalking, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit interstate crimes. One by one, the 6 core conspirators were served while their husbands filed for emergency divorces. The documentary cameras captured Victoria's complete breakdown, her rage at being exposed, her parents' devastated reaction, the other victims finally understanding they'd been targeted by an organized criminal enterprise. As police arrived and began taking statements, I watched Victoria being escorted out in handcuffs, still screaming about how everyone was wrong, how she'd done nothing illegal. Her parents stood devastated, their 40th anniversary transformed into a crime scene. Rebecca approached me quietly. This is one of the most comprehensive exposures of organized domestic abuse I've ever witnessed. The footage will be instrumental in prosecution and helping other victims. I looked around at 8 men who'd finally learned the truth, who'd discovered they weren't alone, who'd found courage to escape. Good, I said. Let every woman running similar schemes know that documentation beats manipulation, truth beats lies, and justice eventually finds everyone. The annulment was granted within 3 weeks based on fraud, with Victoria ordered to pay restitution and court costs. She was now under FBI investigation for wire fraud related to financial schemes across state lines. The manipulation network completely dissolved as 11 divorces were filed simultaneously, several women facing criminal charges. I started a podcast called Unmasking Manipulation that went viral, reaching 5 million downloads in 2 months. Every episode featured another victim's story, expert analysis of coercive control tactics, practical advice for recognizing and escaping psychological abuse. The response was overwhelming, thousands of messages from people who'd experienced similar manipulation, who finally had language for what happened to them. I reconnected with my ex-girlfriend Emma, who Victoria had destroyed through catfishing. We met for coffee, and I showed her everything: fake profiles Victoria created, manufactured evidence of infidelity, calculated destruction of our relationship. "I tried to tell you it wasn't me," Emma said, tears in her eyes. "I tried to explain someone was setting me up, but you wouldn't listen." Victoria spent months poisoning my perception, making me paranoid. By the time she manufactured final evidence, I was primed to believe the worst. "I'm so sorry." We spent weeks rebuilding trust, carefully reconstructing what Victoria had demolished. Emma had spent 3 years thinking I'd betrayed her. Learning Victoria had orchestrated everything was both validating and devastating. We took things slowly, both damaged by Victoria's manipulation. But there was something powerful about rebuilding together, choosing each other with full knowledge of how we'd been exploited. Victoria attempted one final manipulation claiming pregnancy, but I produced documentation of my vasectomy from 2 years prior. The lie destroyed her credibility completely. Her attorney withdrew from the case, citing ethical concerns about representing someone who'd lied about pregnancy to manipulate legal proceedings. 1 year later, I was writing a book about my experience while 3 of the manipulative women had been criminally convicted. Victoria fled to another state under an assumed name after being convicted of fraud, attempted poisoning, and conspiracy to commit interstate crimes. She was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Ashley received 6 years for conspiracy and insurance fraud. Jennifer, the attorney, was disbarred and sentenced to 5 years for wire fraud. The other 3 accepted plea deals, receiving probation and mandatory psychological treatment in exchange for testifying against Victoria. The other victims, those 47 men we'd identified, had varying outcomes. 15 filed criminal complaints and successfully divorced their manipulative partners. 23 were processing the revelation, working with therapists. 9 refused to believe evidence, choosing to stay in their manipulated relationships rather than confront painful truth. I now run seminars teaching men and women to recognize coercive control patterns, turning my nightmare into a mission to protect others. Emma often joins me, sharing her perspective as someone collaterally damaged by Victoria's schemes. Together, we present comprehensive pictures of how manipulation destroys not just the primary target, but everyone connected to them. My podcast expanded into a documentary series, with Rebecca's footage from the anniversary party exposure as centerpiece. The series won awards for exposing domestic abuse, sparked national conversations about coercive control, led to legislative changes in 3 states regarding psychological manipulation in relationships. Victoria's parents donated the $50,000 she'd stolen, recovered through asset seizure, to organizations supporting domestic abuse victims. They gave interviews about missing warning signs, about how their daughter had hidden her true nature even from family. 2 years after the exposure, Emma and I got engaged, real engagement based on genuine love, full transparency, mutual respect. No manipulation, no hidden agendas, no calculated deception. The proposal happened at the same coffee shop where Victoria had orchestrated our chance first meeting. I wanted to reclaim that space, transform it from location of manipulation into site of genuine connection. My book, The Protocol: How I Survived an Organized Relationship Conspiracy, became a bestseller, with proceeds going to domestic abuse organizations and legal funds for other victims. Speaking events took me across the country, where I met countless people who'd experienced similar abuse. "You're never alone," I told them. "These predators want you to feel isolated." But manipulation follows patterns, and recognizing those patterns is the first step toward freedom. Victoria made one attempt to contact me from prison, a letter that somehow bypassed the restraining order. You destroyed my life. I could have made you happy if you just trusted the protocol. Instead, you've made me a monster when I was only trying to optimize partnership dynamics. I didn't respond. I forwarded the letter to the FBI as evidence of continued narcissistic behavior and lack of remorse. The letter extended her sentence when the judge considered it during her appeal hearing. 3 years after the exposure, Emma and I got married in a simple ceremony surrounded by people who genuinely loved us. Marcus was my best man, Rebecca documented the day, and 8 men who'd found freedom because of the exposure attended to celebrate genuine partnership. To Connor, Marcus toasted, who proved that intelligence, documentation, and courage can defeat even the most sophisticated manipulation. And to Emma, who proved that real love survives even the most calculated destruction. I looked around at the celebration, real joy, genuine connection, authentic relationships, and realized Victoria had ultimately failed completely. She'd tried to destroy me, to break me, to remake me into a compliant subject. Instead, she'd created someone stronger, someone dedicated to exposing manipulation, someone who'd turned her criminal conspiracy into a catalyst for protecting others. Think she regrets it? Emma asked later. I thought about Victoria's letter, her complete lack of remorse, her continued belief she'd been right. No, I said. People like Victoria don't experience regret. They experience anger at being caught. But actual remorse? That requires empathy they don't possess. Then she's still in prison, Emma observed. Even if she gets out someday, she's trapped in her own narcissism. That's its own life sentence. She was right. Victoria would spend the rest of her life as prisoner of her personality disorder, unable to experience real love or genuine connection. Meanwhile, I was free from manipulation, from deception, from psychological warfare. To freedom, I said, raising my glass to Emma, to our real love, to the life we'd built from ashes of Victoria's failed manipulation.
My girlfriend demanded, if you loved me, you'd pay off my student loans. I replied, let's look at the paperwork. Then I hired a forensic accountant. The loans were actually for her ex-boyfriend's car, and what I did next made her regret everything. I, 31 male, was sitting on the couch last Thursday night, scrolling through work emails, when my girlfriend Jenna, 29, sat down next to me with that look. You know the one, where they're about to drop something heavy. We'd been together for almost 3 years, living together for the last 18 months in my condo. Things were good, I thought. We split groceries, she covered utilities, I handled the mortgage. Pretty standard stuff. Babe, we need to talk about our future, she said, grabbing my hand. I put down my phone. Yeah? What's up? She took a deep breath. I've been thinking. If we're really serious about building a life together, we need to tackle my student loans. They're holding us back from getting married, buying a bigger place, starting a family. Fair enough, I thought. We talked about her loans before. She said she had about $35K from her MBA program. Not ideal, but manageable. Okay, I said. What's the plan? Want to look at consolidation options? Maybe refinance? She squeezed my hand tighter. Actually, if you really loved me, you'd just pay them off. You make good money, and it would show me you're committed to our future. Record scratch moment right there. I work in IT consulting, make decent money, about $95 a year. But dropping $35, hey, that's not pocket change. Jenna, that's a lot. Can we look at the paperwork together? Figure out the best approach? Her face changed, went from sweet to defensive real quick. Why do you need to see the paperwork? Don't you trust me? It's not about trust. It's about understanding what we're dealing with. Interest rates, payment terms, that stuff matters. She stood up, crossed her arms. This is exactly what Tori said would happen. You say you love me, but when it comes to actually proving it, you get all analytical. Tori, her best friend who's been divorced twice and thinks all men are trash. Great. Jenna, asking to see paperwork for a $35,000 financial decision isn't weird, it's responsible. If you loved me, you wouldn't need paperwork. She was getting louder now. Keith would have done it without asking questions. Teeth. The ex-boyfriend she swears she's over but brings up whenever we argue. The guy who supposedly broke her heart 2 years before we met. I'm not Keith, I said, staying calm. And if you want my help, I need to see the loans. That's reasonable. She stormed off to the bedroom, slammed the door. Classic. I sat there thinking. Something felt off. She'd been weird about money lately. Asking for cash for emergencies that she never fully explained. Getting packages she said were returns, but never seemed to actually return. Next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Made breakfast, kissed me goodbye for work. But I couldn't shake the feeling. So I did something maybe I shouldn't have. I hired a forensic accountant. Found the guy through a friend who went through a nasty divorce. Cost me $1,500 up front, but he specialized in financial investigations. Told him I needed to verify some financial obligations before making a major payment. Gave him what I knew, her full name, the school she attended, rough dates. Told him she claimed $35 in student loans. 3 days later, he called me at work. Mr. Thompson, you might want to sit down for this. Update 1. Holy hell. The forensic accountant Bradley just laid it all out and I'm still processing. Here's what he found. Jenna does have student loans. $8,700 worth. She's been making minimum payments for years, which is why the balance barely moves. But here's the kicker. There's a car loan. A $26,000 car loan for a BMW M3 taken out 4 years ago. The name on the loan? Jenna Reeves, her name. The registered owner? Keith Morrison, her ex-boyfriend. She's been paying $540 a month for his car for 4 years. Bradley found more. The loan originated 2 months before she claims they broke up. She's listed as the primary borrower. He's not even co-signed. The car's registration has been renewed twice, still in his name. Insurance records show he's had 2 claims on it. Minor accidents, both his fault. But wait, it gets worse. Remember those emergencies she needed cash for? Bradley traced patterns. Every month around the 15th, she'd withdraw $500 to $600 cash. The car payment hits on the 20th. She's been using my money to pay for her ex's car. I felt sick, actually had to leave work early. When I got home, Jenna was there with Tori. They were drinking wine, laughing about something on Tori's phone. Stopped when they saw me. You're home early, Jenna said, suddenly nervous. We need to talk. Alone. Tori rolled her eyes. Whatever you need to say to her, you can say in front of me. No, I really can't. This is private. Jenna nodded at Tori, who left but made sure to give me the stink eye on her way out. I sat down, pulled out Bradley's report. I know about the BMW, Jenna. Her face went white, then red, then came the tears. You investigated me. How dare you? You asked me for $35,000. You lied about what it was for. You've been paying for Keith's car for 4 years, with money I've been giving you. It's not like that. She was sobbing now. He manipulated me, said if I didn't help he'd ruin my credit. I had no choice. You had a choice, you could have told me the truth. You wouldn't have understood. You're so practical about everything. Keith gets me emotionally. Gets you? Present tense? She froze, caught. We're friends, just friends. I pulled out my phone, showed her a screenshot Bradley had found. Keith's Instagram from last week, the BMW in the background. Caption, thanks to my ride or die for keeping me rolling. You know who you are. You're his ride or die? She grabbed for my phone. I pulled it back. That's not. He doesn't mean. Jenna, stop. Just stop. You've been paying for your ex's car while living in my condo, eating food I buy, asking me for emergency money that goes straight to his payment, and then you tried to manipulate me into paying the whole thing off. I love you, she wailed. Keith means nothing. Then why are you paying for his car? Because. She couldn't finish. You need to leave. Pack your stuff, stay with Tori. We're done. You can't kick me out. I have rights. I've lived here for 18 months. You're not on the lease. You're a guest who's overstayed their welcome. Get your things. She called me every name in the book. Said I was controlling, abusive, cheap. Then called Tori, who showed up 20 minutes later acting like she was picking up a domestic violence victim. They loaded up Tori's car with Jenna's stuff. As they were leaving, Jenna turned back. Keith was right about you. You're heartless. Keith can start paying for his own car now. See how right he is then. Update 2. It's been 5 days since I kicked Jenna out, and hoo boy, the entitlement came out in full force. Day 1 after the breakup. Got 73 texts ranging from "I'm sorry baby, please talk to me" to "You're a pathetic control freak who will die alone." Blocked her number. Day 2. She started emailing my work address. IT flagged them as spam pretty quick, but not before I saw the subject lines. Urgent, relationship emergency. You're making a mistake. Keith never treated me like this. Forwarded them all to my personal email for documentation, then blocked her there too. Day 3. This is where it got interesting. I get a call from an unknown number. It's Keith. "Yo man, we need to talk." "No, we don't. Listen, whatever Jenna told you about the car thing, it's not what you think. She didn't tell me anything. I found out myself. Enjoy your last month of free BMW payments." "Bro, you don't understand. She owes me that car." I actually laughed. "Owes you? For what?" "For emotional trauma. I was with her during a really tough time and—" "Keith, I honestly don't care. She's not my problem anymore, which means you're definitely not my problem. Good luck with those payments. You can't just—" Click. Day 4. Jenna showed up at my work. Security had to escort her out. She'd apparently told the receptionist she was my fiancé bringing me lunch. When they called up to verify, I said I didn't know anyone by that name. She lost it in the lobby, screaming about how I was financially abusing her and stealing her future. My manager pulled me aside after. I explained the situation briefly. He was cool about it, but suggested I might want to look into a restraining order. Day 5, yesterday. The nuclear option. I get a call from my mom. "Danny, what did you do to that poor girl?" Jenna had somehow found my mother's Facebook and sent her a massive message about how I promised to marry her, then abandoned her. Left her homeless and penniless, emotionally manipulated her for years, forced her to pay for everything while I hoarded my money. She even sent my mom fake screenshots of supposed text conversations where I'm saying horrible things. Pretty convincing at first glance, but the timestamps were all wrong, and she spelled my last name wrong in the contact info. Spent 2 hours on the phone with mom showing her the real evidence. She was pissed. Not at me, at Jenna. The audacity of that girl, using her ex-boyfriend to manipulate you, and then trying to turn me against my own son. But here's where it gets really good. Last night, around 11 p.m., I get a notification from my credit monitoring app. Someone tried to apply for a credit card using my SSN. Guess who knows my SSN from all those times she helped me with tax paperwork? Called the credit card company immediately. Fraud department flagged it, canceled the application. Then I did something I probably should have done earlier, put a freeze on my credit. This morning, woke up to an email from Tori. Not Jenna, Tori. Subject: "You need to fix this." Body: "Jenna is staying with me and can't pay her share of anything because you've cut her off without warning. If you had any decency, you'd at least give her enough to get back on her feet. She's talking about having to declare bankruptcy because of the car situation. Keith is threatening to sue her if she stops paying. This is your fault for not just helping her in the first place. A real man would take care of his woman's problems without questioning them. She's going to file for palimony since you basically were common law married. My cousin is a lawyer and says she has a case. Do the right thing before this gets uglier." I forwarded the email to my buddy who's a lawyer. His response? "LMAO. Common law marriage isn't even recognized in our state. Let them try." But I wasn't done. See, Tori made a crucial mistake. She sent that email from her work account. The signature included her full name, title, and company. Tori works in HR at a financial services firm. Using company email to threaten legal action that she knows is baseless? Yeah, I forwarded that email to her company's ethics hotline. Then I did one more thing. Remember that forensic accountant Bradley? I had him do a bit more digging on Keith. Turns out our boy Keith has been busy. 2 other car loans and collections. Eviction proceedings from 3 apartments in the last 5 years. An ongoing small claims case where he's being sued by an ex-roommate for $4,000. I packaged all this information nicely and sent it to Jenna's email with the subject line, "Your ride or die seems to be dying. Good luck with that." One final thing. I called the BMW dealership where the loan originated, explained the situation to their finance manager. While I can't make them do anything since my name isn't on the loan, he did say something interesting. If she stops making payments and it goes into repo, we'll definitely be interested in knowing the vehicle's location. Guess whose address I happen to know? Update 3. It's been 2 weeks since everything went down, and the aftermath has been chef's kiss. Exactly what they deserved. First, let's talk about Tori. Remember that email she sent from her work account? Well, her company's ethics department took it very seriously. Using company resources to make legal threats? Big no-no. She got suspended pending investigation, and from what I heard through the grapevine, mutual friend who works there, she's probably getting fired. She tried to backtrack, claimed her account was hacked by Jenna, which made it worse because now she's lying to investigators. Her cousin, the lawyer? He's actually a paralegal, and when the company's legal team reached out to verify her claims about palimony, he threw her under the bus immediately. Now for Teeth. Oh, Teeth. So Jenna apparently panicked after getting my email about his financial situation. She confronted him about the other debts. His response? He accused me of making it all up and convinced her I was just trying to break them up because I was jealous of their connection. She believed him. Actually believed him. Until the repo man showed up at his apartment at 6 a.m. last Tuesday. See, Jenna missed the car payment this month. First time in 4 years. The loan was already flagged as high risk because of the payment history, lots of late payments she covered with fees. So one missed payment triggered immediate action. Keith called Jenna screaming. She was at Tori's place. Tori was at work, not knowing she was about to be suspended. And Keith demanded she come over with cash right now to stop the repo. She raced over with $1,200 she'd scraped together. Ironically, some of it was money she'd hidden from me in our apartment and forgot to take. Got there just as they were loading the BMW onto the truck. The repo guy was professional. Told her she could pay the full past due amount, $1,740 with fees, plus repo costs, $350 at their office to get it back. She didn't have enough. Keith lost his mind. Started screaming at her in front of the repo team, neighbors, everyone. Called her useless, pathetic, said she'd ruined his life. Then, and this is according to 3 separate neighbors who filmed it, he said, "You couldn't even keep your meal ticket boyfriend paying for my car. What good are you?" She finally understood. Finally saw what everyone else could see. She was just a payment plan to him. The videos hit social media fast. Someone tagged them, "Gold digger gets exposed by bigger gold digger." Went semi-viral locally. Both their reputations are toast. But wait, there's more. Remember how she tried to apply for credit in my name? Well, I filed a police report. Detective called me yesterday. Turns out this isn't Jenna's first rodeo. She has a previous warning for the same thing with an ex from 5 years ago. Never prosecuted because he didn't want to press charges, just wanted her gone. I'm pressing charges. The detective also found something interesting. Those student loans she has? She's been in default for 3 years. Never told me that. The $8,700 has ballooned to almost $14,000 with penalties and interest. Her credit is destroyed. Yesterday afternoon I get a call from an unknown number. Almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. It was Jenna's mom, Gloria. "Is this Daniel?" "Yes. I just wanted to apologize for my daughter. I saw the videos. I raised her better than this." We talked for almost an hour. Gloria told me, Jenna has been pulling this scam since college. She's used 3 different boyfriends to pay for various things for Keith. Gloria and her husband cut her off financially 2 years ago when they found out. Keith has been stringing Jenna along since high school. This isn't even the first car she's bought him. There was a motorcycle that got stolen, aka sold, in college. Gloria offered to pay me back for anything Jenna took. I declined but appreciated the gesture. She said she's forcing Jenna to go to therapy or she's completely cut off from the family. Last update as of this morning, Jenna sent me one final email from a new account. Not an apology, not a thank you for not pressing harder on the criminal charges. Nope. Subject, I hope you're happy. Body, you've ruined everything. Keith won't talk to me. Tori's getting fired because of your vindictive email. I'm homeless, carless, and now my parents think I'm a criminal. All because you couldn't just trust me and help with the loans like a normal boyfriend would. I'm going to have to move back to my hometown and work at my dad's hardware store. My life is over. Satisfied? I replied with just one line. Your ex-boyfriend's car loan was never my problem. Neither are you. blocked that email too. Final update, it's been 3 months now. Figured I'd give one last update for closure. Jenna did indeed move back to her hometown. According to Gloria, who checks in occasionally to make sure I'm okay, sweet lady, Jenna's working at the hardware store and living with her parents. She's in court-ordered therapy as part of a plea deal for the identity theft charge. Got 18 months probation and had to pay restitution, a whole $500 for my credit monitoring services. Teeth? Without his free BMW, he couldn't maintain his successful guy image. Last I heard, he was couch surfing and trying to convince new girlfriends to invest in his business ideas. Good luck with that, buddy. Tori got fired, tried to sue her company for wrongful termination. That went about as well as you'd expect. She's working retail now and subtweeting about fake friends and snakes constantly. Pretty sure she means Jenna, who threw her under the bus during the investigation. The BMW got auctioned. Jenna still owes about $12 on the loan after the sale. That plus her defaulted student loans means her credit won't recover for years. As for me, I'm doing good. Started dating someone new. Met her at a financial literacy workshop I started attending, figured I should brush up after this mess. She thought the whole story was wild but appreciated how I handled it. We joke that our first date activity will not be reviewing loan documents. Kept the forensic accountant's number though. Bradley sends me a Christmas card now. Says I was his most entertaining case of the year. Lesson learned. When someone tells you love means never having to see the paperwork, run. Run fast, run far, and take your credit report with you. Oh, and one final thing. Last week, I got a LinkedIn notification. Keith tried to connect with me. His message? Hey bro, no hard feelings about the whole situation. Actually starting a new venture and looking for investors. Interested? The audacity. The absolute audacity. Clicked ignore. Some people never learn. Edit. Since some of you asked, yes, I kept all the documentation. Yes, my lawyer says I'm fully protected. No, I don't regret a single thing. The $1,500 for the forensic accountant was the best money I ever spent. My fiancé texted, "We need a bigger diamond. My friends are making fun of my ring." I texted back, "Say no more." Then I returned the ring, got a full refund, and blocked her number. The next post in her group chat wasn't about me. I, 28 male, was having lunch at my desk when the text came through from Isabel, 26, my fiancé of 3 months. "We need to talk about the ring. My friends keep making comments and honestly, it's embarrassing. Chloe's ring is 2 carats and mine looks like a promise ring next to hers. I know you can afford better. You just bought that stupid gaming computer for $3,000. I need you to upgrade this ASAP." I stared at my phone for a solid minute. The ring she was complaining about? 1.2 carats, VS1 clarity, ideal cut. Cost me $8,500. Took me 6 months to save for it while she kept hinting about proposals. But sure, it was embarrassing. I texted back, "Say no more." She sent back heart emojis and, "I knew you'd understand. Love you, babe." I understood perfectly. Left work early, drove straight to the jeweler. The manager recognized me. I'd only bought the ring 2 months ago. "Everything okay with the ring, sir?" "Perfect condition. I need to return it." His face fell. Did she not like it? She loved it. Then her friend got a bigger one. He didn't even try to talk me out of it, just started the paperwork. Full refund back to my card within 3 to 5 business days. Asked if I wanted to look at upgrades. I said no thanks. Drove to our apartment. Isabel was at work until 6. Plenty of time. I wasn't angry, wasn't even sad really, just clear. Like when you finally understand a math problem that's been bugging you. Packed my stuff methodically. Gaming setup, clothes, the espresso machine I bought, my books. Left everything we'd bought together. Took only what was mine. Found the ring box she'd left carelessly on her makeup table. She only wore it for photos. Put a sticky note inside. Returned for full refund. You were right. You do deserve more. Good luck finding it. Blocked her number. Blocked her on everything actually. Moved into my buddy Diego's spare room that night. The explosion started around 6:47 p.m. Diego was showing me the text she sent him. "Where is he? This isn't funny. He took the ring. Tell him to answer me now." Diego replied, "He's not here. Also, wasn't the ring embarrassing?" She called him 31 times. He stopped answering after the first call, where she screamed so loud he had to hold the phone away from his ear. But here's where it gets interesting. Update 1. So Isabel's best friend Chloe reached out to me through LinkedIn, because I'd blocked her everywhere else. You need to know what really happened. This isn't all Isabel's fault. We met for coffee. Turns out there was a whole group chat situation I knew nothing about. Isabel and her 5 closest friends had this chat where they constantly compared their boyfriends, who spent more, who did better proposals, who was more trained. They had a literal scoring system. Chloe showed me screenshots. My proposal got a 6/10. Location was sweet but basic. I proposed at the place we first met. Ring is nice, but under 1.5 carats. At least he got on one knee properly. Could have been more creative with the speech. The messages after Chloe got engaged were brutal. Isabel, now I look like the broke one. Friend Margot, just make him upgrade it. Men are simple. Friend Elsie, tell him you need it resized and exchange it. Friend Diana, my cousin did that. Said the band was causing a rash. You're all geniuses. But here's the kicker. Chloe was showing me this because she was having doubts about her own fiancé after seeing how they all talked about these men they claimed to love. When you returned the ring and just left, it made me think, like, what are we doing? We're treating these guys like walking ATMs with proposal skills. I thanked her for the honesty, but made it clear. This changed nothing for me. That night, Isabel showed up at Diego's. Not alone, brought her whole squad. Margot, Elsie, Diana, and her sister Bethany. They came in like a SWAT team of entitlement. Bethany immediately started filming. We're here to confront the man who abandoned my sister over a simple request. Diego started filming too. Cool, I'm recording the trespassers who forced their way into my home. Isabel was in full victim mode. You humiliated me. Everyone knows you returned the ring. Everyone who? My family. My coworkers? Everyone. So you told everyone you bullied me into buying a bigger ring and I left instead? I didn't bully you. I expressed my needs. Margot jumped in. A real man provides without being asked. Diego laughed. A real woman appreciates without demanding. Elsie tried the tears. You're destroying her. She's been crying for days. Over losing me or losing the ring? Silence. Diana went for the jugular. You never deserved her anyway. She was settling for you. Thank God she unsettled then. Bethany was still filming, narrating like this was some documentary. As you can see, he shows no remorse for traumatizing my sister. I looked directly at her camera. Your sister said an $8,500 ring was embarrassing because her friend got a bigger one. I agreed and returned it. Now she's mad about the consequences of her own actions. Trauma? That's literally just accountability. They left after more yelling. But not before Isabel delivered her ultimatum. If you don't come back with a 2-carat ring by Friday, we're done forever. We're already done. I ended it when I returned the ring. You can't end it. I didn't agree to that. That's not how breakups work. I'll sue you for emotional damages. Diego actually snorted. For what? Not buying her a bigger ring? Good luck with that. They stormed out. Bethany posted the video that night with the caption, Toxic ex refuses to take accountability for abandoning my sister. It backfired spectacularly. Comments were brutal. She wanted a bigger ring, and he left? King behavior. Your sister sounds exhausting. Accountability for what? Not being her bank account? Team ex-boyfriend. She deleted it within 2 hours. Update 2. The entitlement escalation was Olympic level. First, Isabel's mom Patricia called me. This woman had the audacity to say, I'm very disappointed in you. We welcomed you into our family. You welcomed my wallet. There's a difference. Isabel has standards. She was raised to expect the best, and I was raised to recognize gold diggers. How dare you? She loved you. She loved what I could buy her. The second I stopped, watch how fast that love disappeared. You're being childish. Just buy the new ring and move on. Ma'am, I'd rather buy 2 carats of actual dirt. She hung up, but not before threatening to ruin me. Not sure how a retired substitute teacher was gonna do that, but okay. Then came the performance. Isabel started posting all over social media about being abandoned by someone she trusted and dealing with narcissistic abuse. She posted old photos of us with captions like, I thought he was different, and when someone shows you who they are, believe them. My brother sent me screenshots. I didn't care until she posted a photo of the ring with, imagine being told your worth is only $8,500. That pissed me off. So I posted my first social media update in months. Just a simple screenshot of her text demanding a bigger ring because her friends were making fun of her. Caption: Imagine thinking someone's worth is measured by ring size. It got 500 likes in an hour. Her post got deleted, but the real show started when she found out I got the refund. See, we'd been planning a destination wedding. I'd put down deposits, venue, photographer, catering, all on my credit card, but intended for our wedding. Total about $12 in deposits. I canceled everything. Got most of it back except for about $2 in non-refundable portions. Small price for freedom. Isabel found out when the venue coordinator called her to confirm the cancellation. She went nuclear. Showed up at my office. Security had to escort her out, but not before she screamed in the lobby. That was my wedding money. You stole my wedding. My coworkers were stunned. My manager Terrence came to check on me. You good? Actually, yeah. Best decision I ever made. The returning the ring part, or the blocking her part, the seeing who she really was part. That afternoon I got served. She was taking me to small claims court for the canceled wedding deposits, emotional distress, breach of verbal contract, financial abuse. Total she was seeking $25,000. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud when the process server handed me the papers. Called my cousin who's a lawyer. He looked at everything and said, "This is the dumbest case I've ever seen. She's basically suing you for not marrying her after she insulted your ring choice. Counter-sue for harassment." So I did. Update 3. Court was incredible. Isabel showed up in a white dress to small claims court, like she was making some kind of statement. Her evidence included screenshots of our texts, including the one where she demanded a bigger ring. Photos of us together to show we were happy. Receipts for wedding stuff she bought, a dress, shoes, etc. A spreadsheet of projected lifetime earnings lost from not marrying me. The judge, this older woman who looked like she'd seen everything, reviewed the evidence. "Miss Isabel, you're suing because he canceled a wedding? He promised to marry me, then abandoned me over a simple request. The request to buy a more expensive ring because your friends made fun of the first one? That's taken out of context. What context makes that better?" I swear everyone in the courtroom tried not to laugh. Isabel's mom spoke as her witness. "He traumatized my daughter. She's been in therapy." Judge: "When did she start therapy?" "Last week." "After filing this lawsuit?" "Yes." My evidence was simple. Her text demanding a bigger ring, the receipt for the original ring, the return receipt, documentation of her harassment, the video her sister posted of them forcing their way into Diego's place. The judge took maybe 10 minutes. "Miss Isabel, you have no case. You cannot sue someone for ending a relationship, even an engagement. You cannot sue for wedding deposits that were paid by him. You cannot claim emotional distress when your own messages show you initiated the conflict. Case dismissed." "But what about my dress?" "You bought a dress, that's your choice. He didn't force you to buy it." "This is sexist. This is consequences. Case dismissed means we're done here." "But wait, my counterclaim." The judge reviewed the harassment documentation. The 31 calls to Diego, the scene at my office, the social media posts, the threatening messages from her family. "Mr. OP, I'm granting a restraining order. Miss Isabel and her immediate family must maintain 500 feet distance and cease all contact. Any violation will result in criminal charges." Isabel lost it. "You can't do this. I loved him." Funny way of showing it. We're done here. Outside the courthouse, Patricia tried one more time. "You've ruined her reputation. No one will want to marry her now." That's not true. Someone will marry her. They just won't know what they're getting into until it's too late. Like I almost didn't. Bethany was filming again. This is what happens when weak men can't handle strong women. I looked at the camera. This is what happens when entitled people face consequences. Diego, who'd come for moral support, added, "Also, your sister owes me a new doormat. Her fake designer heels scraped it up." Final update. Life got interesting after court. First, Isabel tried to get around the restraining order by having mutual friends message me. That stopped when I reminded them that coordinating contact for someone with a restraining order is also illegal. Then the group chat imploded. Remember Chloe, who showed me everything? She called off her engagement after her fiancé found out about the scoring system. He saw the screenshots during the court case. I'd submitted them as evidence. They became public record. The other girls turned on each other. Margot's boyfriend dumped her after seeing she called him barely a 7 but with good credit. Elsie's man found out she was planning to baby trap him for better financial security. Diana's boyfriend discovered she had a backup boyfriend she was cultivating. The group chat leaked fully when Diana posted everything online in revenge for being blamed for the leak. Turns out, they'd been doing this for years. Rating men, planning manipulations, sharing strategies for getting more expensive gifts. But here's the beautiful karma. Isabel's job found out about everything. See, she worked in PR. Her company wasn't thrilled that their employee was all over social media in a viral story about gold digging and entitlement. They didn't fire her, but she got demoted to an internal position with no client contact. She tried dating apps. Someone always recognized her as ring girl and unmatched. Meanwhile, I started dating Penny, a teacher I met at a bookstore. First date, she insisted on splitting the bill. Second date, she cooked dinner at her place. Third date, she saw a Reddit thread about the whole drama and said, "Wait, this is you? That's hilarious. Your ex was insane." We've been together 8 months now. She wears a $50 silver ring I got her at an art fair because she liked the design. Posted it online with, "It's perfect." No carat count, no comparison. Just appreciation. The best update, last week Chloe sent me a message. "Thought you should know, Isabel got engaged to some crypto guys she met in Vegas." She's been posting about her 3-carat ring non-stop. The comments are all laughing emojis because everyone knows it's fake. The diamond and the crypto. I checked out of curiosity. The ring was massive. Suspiciously massive. The kind of ring that's either $80K or $80. Given that her crypto millionaire fiancé drives a 2008 Honda Civic and lives with roommates, I'm guessing the latter. Her mom Patricia commented, "So happy my baby got what she deserves." Yeah, she absolutely did. My brother summed it up perfectly. You didn't dodge a bullet. You dodged a whole ammunition depot. My cousin, the lawyer, has my return receipt framed in his office next to his law degree. He calls it Exhibit A in why you should always keep your receipts. Diego still tells the story at parties. His favorite part is when they tried to blame him for enabling me. His response, "I enabled him to not marry a gold digger? You're welcome?" As for the $500 from the returned ring, invested half, used the other half for a solo trip to Japan. Posted one photo from the trip. Isabel's sister viewed my story within 10 minutes even though I'd blocked her main account. Guess she made a fake to keep tabs. Sad? Nah. Pathetic? Absolutely. Someone asked if I regret how it all went down. Only thing I regret is not seeing the signs sooner, like when she asked about my salary on our second date. Or when she got upset I bought her tulips instead of roses, because roses photograph better. Or when she literally said, "Your money is our money, but my money is my money." To anyone dealing with similar situations, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. When they tell you a ring that costs more than many people's cars is embarrassing, that's not about the ring, that's about their values. And to Isabel, since I know you're reading this through whatever fake account you're using, your crypto prince just posted about his NFT collection failing. Good luck with that 3-carat cubic zirconia. Her best friend warned me. She calls you her plan B. I said nothing. At her birthday party, I gave a toast to new beginnings and broke up with her in front of everyone. The aftermath was legendary. I, 29 male, got the warning 3 weeks before my girlfriend Brooke's, 27, birthday party. Her best friend Mia had been drinking at a bar downtown, saw me there with my buddy, and stumbled over to our table. "Derek," she slurred, grabbing my shoulder. "Derek, Derek, Derek, you're such a nice guy." Too nice. I laughed it off at first. Mia was wasted. But then she leaned in closer. "You know what Brooke calls you when you're not around?" She giggled like it was the funniest thing. Her retirement plan, her plan B, says you're perfect husband material for when she's done having fun. My buddy Trevor's eyes went wide. I kept my face neutral, bought Mia a water, and got her an Uber home. But those words, they explained everything. See, Brooke and I had been together for 2 years. I'd been all in, helped her through her career transition, aka unemployment, paid for her coding boot camp, $12, covered rent while she focused on learning. Meanwhile, she was always texting someone, always had these networking events that went until 3 a.m. The thing is, I'd already been suspicious. Found out through Instagram stories that her study group was mostly her going to clubs. Her mentor, Zane, kept appearing in photos, always with his arm around her. But I wanted to believe her explanations. Love makes you stupid like that. After Mia's drunk confession, I did some digging, created a fake Instagram, followed some of her friends. The picture became crystal clear. There were posts about keeping your options open, jokes about starter boyfriends versus forever boyfriends. One girl posted a meme, date them for their potential, marry them for their portfolio. Brooke had commented 3 fire emojis, but the real kicker? Found a TikTok her friend posted from a girl's night. Brooke's voice, clear as day. Derek's gonna buy us a house one day. But until then, a girl's gotta live, you know? They all laughed. I screen recorded everything. Her 27th birthday was coming up. She'd been planning it for months, rented out a whole restaurant's party room, invited 60+ people, made it this huge production. She kept telling me how important it was that I show up for her and make it special. Even gave me a list of acceptable birthday gift options, minimum budget, $500. I played the perfect boyfriend. Helped with decorations, confirmed RSVPs, even paid for the photographer she wanted. She had no idea what was coming. The night of the party, I showed up in my best suit, brought a beautifully wrapped gift, a $20 self-help book about living your truth. She didn't know that yet. Everyone was there, her family, friends, coworkers, even Zane. Halfway through dinner, Brooke stood up to thank everyone, all emotional, talking about her journey and her support system. When she finished, she looked at me expectantly. Your turn, babe. You always give the best speeches. I stood up, raised my glass, smiled at everyone. I want to toast to new beginnings, I started. They say the truth will set you free, and tonight feels like the perfect night for freedom. Brooke beamed. She thought this was going somewhere else. Brooke, I continued, voice steady, you've taught me so much about myself, like how I deserve someone who sees me as their first choice, not their retirement plan. The room went silent. Brooke's smile froze. I know about Plan B, about how I'm the safe option for when you're done having fun. Your friend Mia let it slip. Alcohol's funny that way, makes people honest. Gasps around the room. Mia, who was there, turned white. So tonight, on your special day, I'm giving us both the gift of honesty. We're done. This relationship is over. You're free to pursue Zane or whoever else without feeling guilty about your backup plan. Brooke's face went from shock to rage. Are you seriously doing this now? At my birthday? You planned this party for 2 months, I said calmly. I've known for 3 weeks. Seemed like perfect timing to me. Oh, and that boot camp I paid for? The $12K? Consider it a parting gift. But the apartment lease is in my name, so you'll need to find a new place by the end of the month. Her mom stood up. This is inappropriate. How dare you humiliate her like this? Humiliation. I pulled out my phone. Should I play the TikTok where she calls me her future house buyer? Or show the screenshots where she jokes about starter boyfriends? Dead silence. I put a card on the table. Happy birthday, Brooke. Your gift is inside. It's a book about living authentically. Seemed appropriate. Then I walked out. My phone started blowing up before I even reached my car. But I didn't check it. Not yet. I had one more stop to make. My apartment to change the locks. Update 1. The entitlement has reached levels I didn't think possible. First, let me address the lock situation, since people asked. Yes, it's legal where I live. She's not on the lease, never was. She's technically been a month-to-month guest. I gave her 30 days notice via certified mail the day after the party. All legal, all documented. So the morning after the party, Brooke showed up at the apartment with her sister Chloe and 3 friends. Full squad. I was expecting this, so I was conveniently not home, crashed at Trevor's place, but I had installed a Ring doorbell 2 days before the party. Knew this would happen. The footage is gold. Brooke trying her tea, getting frustrated, then absolutely losing it, kicking the door, screaming about psychopaths and abusers. Chloe tried to jimmy the window. One friend suggested calling the cops, but Brooke shut that down real quick. Guess she remembered she's not on the lease. Then came the texts. 137 of them in 6 hours. The progression was actually fascinating. First 20, rage, calling me every name imaginable. Next 30, bargaining. We can work this out. You misunderstood. Mia was lying. Next 40, manipulation. I have nowhere to go. You're leaving me homeless. What about everything I did for you? Next 30, threats. Legal action for what? Telling my employer. Telling them what? Ruining my life. Final 17, love bombing. Old photos of us. Remember when we were so good together? I responded once, you have 27 days to collect your belongings. Schedule a time. Bring a witness. But here's where it gets really good. Zane, the mentor? He messaged me. This absolute Chad had the audacity to tell me I handled things poorly and should have been a gentleman about it. Said I ruined a beautiful woman's special day. I replied with screenshots of Brooke texting him at 2 a.m. while lying next to me in bed. Messages like, can't wait to see you tomorrow, and Derek's asleep, call me. His response? That's taken out of context. My dude, what context makes that okay? He blocked me after that. Then Brooke's mom, Sharon, called my mother. They'd met twice in 2 years, but suddenly Sharon needed to inform her what a disgraceful son she'd raised. My mom, bless her, listened politely, then said, sounds like Derek finally grew a spine. Good for him. Then hung up. The best part? Brooke's job. She works in PR at this boutique firm, all about image and reputation. Well, guess who was at the birthday party? Her boss and 3 coworkers. They saw everything. According to a mutual friend, Brooke called in sick the next 2 days, then showed up Wednesday acting like nothing happened. But everyone knew. Her boss apparently pulled her aside about maintaining professional standards even in personal situations. Oh, and the coding boot camp? She never finished it. Dropped out after 3 weeks, but didn't tell me. I'd been paying for nothing for 5 months while she pretended to study. Found this out when I called to see if I could get a partial refund. Couldn't, but worth a shot. Yesterday, she tried a new approach. Sent her friend Tiffany to my gym. Tiffany happened to be on the treadmill next to mine. You know, Brooke's really struggling, she said, all casual. She's staying on my couch. Could barely afford food yesterday. Wendy's is hiring, I said, putting my earbuds back in. You're seriously going to let her starve? She's got 24 days to figure it out, same as any other adult. Tiffany called me heartless and stomped off. Cool. I finished my workout. Last night, the extinction burst began. Apparently that's what it's called when they panic and try everything at once. Brooke created a GoFundMe. Help a young woman escape financial abuse. The description painted me as this controlling monster who trapped her financially, then threw her out for having male friends. She raised $50 from her aunt. The comments section backfired spectacularly because one of the party guests, her coworker James, commented, weren't you calling him Plan B at your birthday before he dumped you? She deleted the whole thing within 2 hours. As I'm writing this, I just got a text from an unknown number. It's Brooke, from a friend's phone. You win. I'll leave quietly if you just give me $5,000 to start over. The entitlement. The absolute entitlement. My response? No. Then I blocked that number too. 22 days left on her move-out deadline. This is going to be a long 3 weeks. Update 2. It got so much worse before it got better. Remember how I said Brooke had 22 days left? Well, she decided to accelerate the crazy. First, she tried to break in. At 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. But not in a smart way. She literally tried to crowbar the door, in full view of the Ring camera, while narrating what she was doing. This is my apartment too. I have rights. The neighbors called the cops. I woke up to police knocking. Showed them the lease, only my name, the certified notice, 27 days to vacate, and the Ring footage. They told her she had to leave or they'd arrest her for attempted B&E. The officer actually said, "Ma'am, you're on camera trying to break in." While talking about breaking in, that's not smart. She ugly cried about being kicked out of her home. Cops didn't care. Told her it was a civil matter, follow the eviction notice. She left, but not before screaming, "This isn't over." Narrator. It wasn't over. Next day, I get a call from my bank. Someone tried to access my account claiming to be me. Had my social, my birthday, even my mother's maiden name. Brooke knew all this. But they didn't have the answer to my security question. First pet's name? I'd told Brooke it was Buddy. It was actually Sergeant Whiskers. Always lie about security questions, folks. Bank flagged it as fraud. I filed a police report, added another layer of security to everything. Then came the masterclass in delusion. Brooke's mom, Sharon, called again. But this time, she wanted to negotiate. Sharon, Derek, let's be adults. Brooke made mistakes, but you did too. It's only fair you help her transition. Me, fair? She put 2 years into this relationship. While calling me Plan B. That was jokes. Girl talk. You men are so sensitive. Okay. So you'll help her? No. I'll give you $500 if you give her $3,000. What? It's a compromise. I'm helping, you're helping. Everyone wins. The mental gymnastics. She wanted me to pay $2,500 for the privilege of paying $2,500? I just hung up. But the peak entitlement came last Thursday. I get home from work, and there's a moving truck outside. Brooke's there with some random dudes trying to look official. She's got a clipboard and everything. We're here for the furniture. What furniture? My furniture. From the apartment. You mean the furniture I bought with receipts in my name? I picked it out. That makes it mine. One of the moving guys looked uncomfortable. Lady, if his name's on the receipts, just do your job. I called the cops again. Showed them receipts for everything. Couch, TV, bed, even the coffee maker she was trying to claim. Police told the movers to leave unless they wanted trouble. Movers apologized to me, said she told them I was her ex who'd stolen her stuff during the breakup. As they're leaving, Brooke drops the mask completely. You're nothing without me, she screamed. You were a nobody. I made you better. I picked you. For Plan B, I reminded her. You weren't even Plan A material. That's when Zane pulled up, in his Tesla. To rescue her. Come on, baby, he said. He's not worth it. Baby. Baby. They're together now, officially. Been posting couples photos everywhere. The captions are something else. Finally with someone who values me, and real recognizes real. Plot twist. Zane's Tesla? It's a lease he can't afford. His entrepreneur lifestyle? He lives with his parents. His investments? Crypto and NFTs that tanked. Found all this out from a buddy who knows him. Brooke hitched herself to a sinking ship. Meanwhile, her professional life imploded. Remember her boss pulling her aside? Well, showing up with moving trucks and police reports during work hours was the last straw. She got encouraged to resign to pursue other opportunities. She's now unemployed, living with Zane at his parents' house. His mom already hates her. How do I know? Because Zane's mom DM'd me on Facebook. Is this the girl who called you Plan B? Good riddance. Now she's my problem. 5 days left on the eviction notice. She's officially moved in with Zane, but keeps saying she'll sue me for illegal eviction and emotional damages. Her lawyer, her cousin who failed the bar twice, sent me a letter full of legal-sounding nonsense. My actual lawyer responded with one line, no merit. Do not contact my client again. The best part? Remember that $20 self-help book I gave her for her birthday? She posted it on her story. Reading this amazing book Derek gave me. He always knew how to inspire growth. Girl, I dumped you at your party. The cognitive dissonance is real. Final update, it's done. Finally, completely, beautifully done. The last 5 days of her eviction period were anticlimactic. She'd already moved everything to Zane's parents' house. Sent Tiffany to grab the last few items. Tiffany tried one more guilt trip about how devastated Brooke was. I just helped load the boxes. Silence is powerful. But the real ending came 2 weeks later. I get a call from an unknown number. It's Zane's mom, Patricia. Derek? You need to know what's happening. Apparently, Brooke had been telling Zane I was stalking her, harassing her, trying to win her back. She was using this fictional drama to get attention and sympathy from him. Even showed him fake text conversations. She was texting herself from a burner phone. But Patricia is tech-savvy. She checked their Ring doorbell footage. Saw Brooke sneaking out at weird hours to escape my harassment. Really meeting other guys, including Zane's best friend Luis. Patricia showed Zane everything. He confronted Brooke. She tried to flip it, saying Patricia was jealous and controlling. Zane actually considered it until Luis straight up admitted Brooke had been hitting on him, sending him pics, asking to talk privately about Zane's treatment of her. Zane kicked her out that night, in the rain, with her stuff in garbage bags. But here's where Brooke reached peak delusion. She called me. At 11 p.m., Derek, I need you to pick me up. What? I'm at Zane's. Well, outside. We had a fight. I need somewhere to stay. Brooke, we broke up. You called me Plan B. You tried to break into my apartment. You attempted bank fraud. That was all miscommunication. I was hurt. You embarrassed me. No. Where am I supposed to go? Not my problem. You ruined everything. You labeled me Plan B. I just chose not to be anyone's backup plan. She hung up. Posted on Instagram about toxic exes who won't let go. I wasn't following her. Trevor sent me the screenshot. Nobody bought it. The comments were brutal. Girl, didn't you live with him for free? Didn't he dump you at your party? Team Derek to the... She deleted her Instagram the next day. Last I heard, through the grapevine, she moved back to her hometown 3 hours away. Living with her parents, working at her dad's insurance office, doing data entry. Sharon apparently tells people I manipulated her daughter and turned everyone against her. But here's the thing, I didn't turn anyone against her. I just stopped keeping her secrets. I stopped being the safety net. I stopped enabling the fantasy where she was the main character and everyone else was supporting cast. Her coworker James, the one who commented on her GoFundMe, reached out last week. Told me Brooke had apparently been doing this for years. Every boyfriend was either a stepping stone or a placeholder. She had a whole philosophy about it. Even gave advice to younger girls at work about maximizing your dating portfolio. James said watching her get called out publicly was cathartic for everyone who knew her. As for me, I'm good. Better than good, actually. Started dating Jenna from my climbing gym. She actually knew about the birthday party drama. Small city, word travels, and told me on our first date, just so you know, you're nobody's Plan B in my book. Also, that was legendary. We've been together 3 months now. It's healthy, honest, no games. She pays for dates sometimes. Doesn't text other dudes at 2 a.m. Doesn't have a Zane. It's nice, peaceful. Brooke unblocked me last week just to send one last message. I hope you're happy. You destroyed my life over a stupid comment. My response, your choices destroyed your life. I just stopped subsidizing them. Then I blocked her. Sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate. It's just stepping back and letting someone face the natural consequences of their actions. Brooke wanted to keep me as Plan B while she explored other options. Instead, she lost all her options and had to move back home. You can't treat people like safety nets and expect them to catch you forever. Eventually, even Plan B walks away. And that toast at her birthday, worth every second of fallout. The look on her face when she realized her backup plan had backup plans of his own? Priceless.
At my mom's birthday, my brother's son dumped soda in my lap and yelled, "Grandma says, you don't belong here." The table laughed. I wiped my clothes, smiled, and stayed quiet. That night, I pulled my name from their loan. By morning, his car was gone. And at 8 a.m., there was a knock at my door. I opened it and saw my mom's birthdays had slowly turned into some kind of strange formal performance where the golden grandson, my brother's 14-year-old son, Tyler, got more attention than the birthday cake. I usually stayed quiet, gave my gift, made nice conversation, and left early. But that year, something about the invitation felt off from the beginning. Mom called and said, "I'd really love it if you'd come, Vicky. Tyler's been asking if you're going to be there." That alone should have told me everything. Tyler didn't ask about me unless he was planning something. Last time he wanted a new gaming chair and tried to charm me with compliments about my cooking. 2 weeks later, he told one of his little friends that I used to be a mom but failed. His exact words. I heard it through my cousin's kid, and when I told my brother, he just said, "He's at that age where they test boundaries." So yeah, I didn't expect kindness, but I went anyway because despite everything, I still showed up. My brother's house was louder than usual. There were balloons and 2 store-bought cakes. Tyler had already opened half a dozen gifts and was bragging to some girl about how Grandma was going to buy him a car the second he turned 16. My mom was laughing like she just heard the best joke in the world. No one noticed when I walked in. I had to clear my throat and wave before someone offered me a seat. My gift was ignored. The necklace I picked out for Mom stayed in the box all evening. She was too busy telling everyone how Tyler's teacher said he's gifted, not just smart, but genius level. No one asked me about my business. No one mentioned the fundraiser I hosted 2 weeks earlier. I was just a placeholder, something they could point at and remind themselves they were better than. I sat between two people I didn't know. One of them had a beer in each hand. The other took my fork when hers fell. I didn't even say anything. I just let it go. I've been letting it go for years. Then came the moment that changed everything. Tyler stood up. He had a full cup of soda, walked over to me like it was a casual thing, stared right into my face and said, "Grandma says, you don't belong here." And then he poured the soda in my lap. It was cold, too sweet. I sat there soaked in it, the sugar already starting to make my thighs sticky, and they laughed. The whole table. My mom turned to her friend and said something about how Tyler just says what's on his mind. My brother actually clapped. I wiped my lap with a paper napkin that made them laugh harder. I smiled quietly. No reaction, no fight. I just sat there like I didn't feel humiliated, but inside something started turning. It wasn't sadness, wasn't even anger. It was clarity. They didn't want me there. They never had. And now they made that clear enough for even me to stop pretending. I waited 5 more minutes, excused myself like nothing happened, got in my car, drove home, opened my laptop. My brother had been relying on a family business loan for over a year. He'd begged me to co-sign because Mom guilt-tripped him, and I was still in a haze of grief at the time. My name was on everything. I had power I'd never used until that night. I withdrew my name, froze the account. He wouldn't find out until the bank called in the morning. And when he did, the car parked in front of their house, the one they bought just 3 months earlier, was towed by 7:45 a.m. At 8 o'clock a.m., there was a knock at my door. I opened it and saw my brother Mike standing there with that same mix of fake concern and real panic I'd seen on him during every screw-up of his adult life. Except this time, there was no mom to cover for him, no dad to write the check, and no me to pretend it was all going to be fine. He looked wrecked. He didn't wait for an invite in. "You need to fix this." No good morning. No mention of the soda Tyler dumped in my lap. No hint of the fact that the entire table laughed at me like I was some sideshow. He shoved a stack of papers toward me. The loan's frozen. They said the cosigner pulled out. They said, "If I don't replace you, we're in breach." I leaned against the doorframe. Didn't say a word. He kept going like reading a script. "The shop's not going to make rent next month. The credit cards are already overdrawn. I've got payroll to meet. We've got Mom's insurance coming up, and Tyler's football fees are due next week." So I said nothing. That's when his voice shifted. "You're doing this over a joke." That was the line. Not the soda, not the years of jabs about my daughter, not the graffiti, just that. I shut the door in his face. 5 minutes later, my phone lit up with texts. First him, then his wife, the mom, all trying a different angle. Guilt, confusion, mockery. Tyler sent a TikTok of someone fake crying. No words, just that. By that evening, I found the damage. I'd closed the store late and walked into the parking lot with my keys in one hand and a grocery bag in the other. And there was my car key deep down both sides, all the way to the metal. The rear view mirror kicked off. The back window, spiderweb, like someone had taken a bat to it. First, I just stood there, looked around the lot, completely empty. No witnesses, just silence and that weird sense of stillness, like the air itself was waiting for my reaction. I didn't call Mike. I didn't call Mom. I didn't yell or cry or scream. I went back inside, turned on the store security feed, and rewound. There they were, Tyler and one of his idiot friends, hoodies up laughing. One of them was filming the other. Tyler stepped up to my window, spray-painted the words "fake aunt" in sloppy red, posed like he was in a rap video, then kicked a flower pot off the steps for good measure. I didn't even blink. I called Uncle Ray. He was at my store in under 30 minutes, sat through the footage without saying a word. When it was over, he leaned back in the chair and said, "You're calling the police. Don't argue." I didn't. He made the call, stayed while I gave my statement. The officer was polite but firm. Said this wasn't the first complaint about Tyler. Apparently there had been issues at school, property damage. A few misunderstandings swept under the rug, but this time it wasn't going away. The next morning, Mike was back at my place, not knocking this time, just standing across the street, pacing like he was waiting for a miracle. When he realized I wasn't coming out, he started yelling. I couldn't hear all of it, but I caught pieces. Words like traitor, heartless, and you'll regret this. Then my mom called. She left a voicemail saying, I don't know what got into you. You're letting money come between family over what? Some childish prank? She still didn't get it. None of them did. It wasn't about the soda. It wasn't about the window. It wasn't even about the loan. It was the years of being treated like I was a guest in my own bloodline, of being tolerated, not loved. He's not appreciated. It was a slow build, a quiet erosion. They thought because I didn't explode, I wasn't paying attention. They thought I would break. Instead, I watched the cracks form in their foundation for once, and I wasn't done yet. The official charges came through a few days later. Vandalism, trespassing, and property damage. Since Tyler was a minor, the cops had to loop in my brother and his wife. The footage made it easy. Too easy. Honestly, there was no room for denial. No, maybe it wasn't him. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel triumphant. I just opened the store like usual, swept up a few leaves outside, and got back to work. But the phone started ringing more. Customers told me my brother had been going around saying I faked the whole thing, that I edited the footage. One of my vendors even got a visit from my mom, who warned him I was unwell and probably headed for another breakdown. I didn't respond. Instead, I sat down and made a list of everything they were tied to, everything I'd once handed over with trust. First was the business loan already frozen. Next was the lease agreement, my brother's second location. I co-signed that, too. Then there were the accounts I set up to help his wife launch her Etsy boutique. The PayPal, the Stripe, the tax ID, all registered with my name. And that was my mistake. I gave too much, trusted too easily. I was taking it back. By the end of the week, I'd severed every financial tie, closed the accounts, pulled permissions, alerted tax services to remove my info from anything that had her name attached to it. They wouldn't be able to collect a penny without facing audits they weren't ready for. It was methodical, clinical, and the fallout was immediate. Their boutique store shut down within 48 hours. My brother's lease bounced, and the landlord put an eviction notice on the door. He tried to call me 17 times in one day. Left voicemails that went from pleading to threats to something that almost sounded like crying. Mom called again, too. This time, her tone had changed. She told me I was tearing the family apart, that Dad wouldn't want this. Funny considering Dad was the only one who ever treated me like a partner instead of a backup plan. And that's when it hit me. They thought what they built was theirs. They acted like I was lucky to be part of it, but the truth was, it had all been mine from the start. My effort, my name, my backing, my risk. They never respected that, because respecting it would mean acknowledging I had power, and they hated the idea of me holding anything they couldn't control. So they lashed out. One night, I came home and found the front window of my store smashed again. This time, they didn't even bother hiding it. A rock sat on the floor with a note rubber banded to it. One line, "You'll be alone forever." It didn't scare me. It didn't even make me angry. I picked up the rock, taped the note to the wall inside my office, and called Uncle Ray again. He came the next morning with a lawyer, said we were pressing full charges this time, and if the court asked for emotional damages, we'd go for that too. I didn't argue. I didn't hesitate because now this wasn't just about a birthday party or a soda stain or a broken window. This was about finally drawing a line in permanent ink. They weren't family anymore. They were just people with my last name. The court date was set. Tyler was being charged as a minor, but the civil suit wasn't just about him anymore. It was also about the damage to my store, my car, and now, because Uncle Ray wouldn't let anything slide, the harassment. We had the video, the note, witnesses, and a very good lawyer. I expected things to get quiet while they panicked behind the scenes, but that's not what happened. 2 mornings later, I got a voicemail from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, assuming it was more junk, but something made me listen. The voice was unfamiliar, young, and nervous. She said her name was Hannah. Then she said she used to work for Mike at his second shop, the one that had shut down a few days after I pulled my name from the lease. She said she didn't know what was going on at first, but when she heard about the lawsuit, something started bothering her. She'd overheard a conversation weeks earlier. Mike was talking to his wife about making her look unstable. She didn't know who he meant at the time. Now she did, and then she said it. He smashed the second window himself. I called her back immediately. She picked up after a few rings, voice shaking. Said she was done staying quiet. Said she had texts, receipts. She didn't want to be part of their mess, but she couldn't sit with it anymore either. I gave her the lawyer's info. She sent over everything. That same night, another woman reached out. Said she used to help Mike's wife with her online boutique. She'd seen fake invoices with my name on them sent to vendors written up like I was a co-partner. All wise, she said they use my name to secure supplier deals, get early shipments, and even for a refund scam once. Then a third woman messaged my store's Instagram account. Same story, more dirt. I sent it all to Uncle Ray. By the next morning, the case had evolved from a petty vandalism dispute into something far more serious: fraud, misrepresentation, identity misuse. Our lawyer filed amendments to the original claim within hours. They weren't ready for that. And I thought for a second that they'd back down, maybe apologize, maybe go quiet, but they didn't. They doubled down. Late that night, I heard a noise outside. I checked the camera feed from my phone. There they were, Mike, his wife, and my mom, standing in front of my store, not moving, just staring in through the glass like they were waiting for something. Then Mike took out his phone and started live streaming. I watched it in real time. He called me a parasite, said I was milking my daughter's death for attention, said I was trying to destroy the family legacy, said I was unstable and needed help. All while my mother stood silently behind him, her arms crossed, not saying a word, not stopping him. They didn't realize I was watching from the apartment upstairs. I didn't go down. I didn't yell or confront them. I just called the police and emailed the live stream to our lawyer. It was taken down within an hour, but not before someone screen recorded it and sent it to a local news blog that loved messy family drama. They ran the headline, "Family Feud Turns Legal. Live Stream Meltdown Adds Fuel to Fire." The next day, people started showing up to the store. Strangers, some regulars, a few asked if I was okay. A few just came to buy things and said, "Good for you." One woman left a note that said, "You handled this better than most would." And all I did was work quietly. While the fire spread behind me, Mike and his wife were hit with a court summons 2 days later. Fraud, defamation, damages, the whole thing. Their lawyer tried to negotiate, said they'd be willing to resolve it privately if I just dropped the public claims. I didn't even respond. I let my lawyer handle it because what they never understood was that this wasn't revenge. This wasn't payback. This was survival, and they were the ones who lit the match. Court was set for a Thursday morning, and I barely slept the night before. Not because I was nervous, but because I wanted it over. I wanted it settled. I wanted to walk in with the truth and leave with my life fully severed from theirs. I got there early. Uncle Ray was already waiting out front, sipping coffee like we were just heading to a hardware store. "Come focused." He didn't say much, just handed me a copy of the paperwork the lawyer had filed the night before, the final amendment with all the exhibits attached, 7 in total. When Mike walked in, he looked rough, tie crooked, red under his eyes. His wife was behind him, whispering something and checking her phone like she was trying to distract herself. They sat 2 rows ahead of us. Neither of them looked back. My mom wasn't there. I later found out she told the neighbors she was too heartbroken to attend, but someone forwarded me a photo of her that same morning sitting on a patio at her favorite brunch spot laughing with one of her church friends. But the judge was professional and efficient. Our lawyer laid everything out. The video footage of Tyler, the live stream Mike posted, the signed invoices his wife had created with my name on them. And then came the witness statements. 3 former employees, 2 vendors, and Hannah, the girl who had the receipts of Mike planning the second act of vandalism himself. I watched Mike shrink further into his seat with each exhibit. And then our lawyer asked for restitution, not just repair costs, but emotional damages, business interference, legal fees, the whole list. Their lawyer tried to argue it was excessive, that this was a private family dispute that had gotten out of hand, but the judge didn't bite. She looked at the live stream transcript, flipped through the screenshots, and said something I'll never forget. If this is how your family handles things privately, then I'm grateful it became public. We won every single claim. Mike and his wife were ordered to pay over $28,000 in damages. Tyler was sentenced to community service, mandatory counseling, and a formal apology, which he delivered later via email, clearly written by someone else. I didn't respond, but what happened after court was almost worse. A week later, I came home late to find the flower bed outside my apartment destroyed. My mailbox was bent in half, and someone had dumped old food all over the front door. No note, no signature, just mess. I didn't even blink. I cleaned it up, installed another camera, filed another report. The police took it seriously this time because now there was a record. A few days after that, the same cousin who'd quietly kept in touch texted me. He said he'd been at a family gathering, a small one, mostly older relatives, and someone brought me up. My mom said I turned into a cold, bitter woman, that I was using grief to get ahead. Mike, he said he wasn't done fighting. I didn't respond to the text. I just screenshotted it, filed it away, but that was when I realized something that made me feel calm in a way I hadn't in years. They were unraveling. The more I built, the more they broke down. The store doing better than ever. I'd launched a new line of locally sourced products, partnered with a regional supplier. Sales had doubled in a month. We were expanding. My staff had grown. I was busier than I'd ever been. But it didn't feel heavy. It felt earned, and I made sure the right people heard about it. Not everyone, just the cousins who were still decent. The ones who still called on birthdays, the ones who showed up at the funeral without needing to be begged. I told them about the expansion, the press coverage, the business award I was being nominated for. Casually, almost as an afterthought, and they told the others. I never said anything cruel, never gloated, just facts, progress, happiness. And I knew it was eating them alive because for years they told me I needed them, that without their approval, their attention, their family name, I'd be alone. But now they were the ones shut out. And the worst part for them, I was doing just fine. A few months passed. The store was thriving, and I no longer checked over my shoulder. The cameras were still up, the locks still reinforced. But that sense of edge, the constant tension had dissolved. Peace wasn't loud. It was quiet, like waking up and realizing the buzzing in your head has finally stopped. I hadn't heard from my brother since court. His wife unfollowed me on every platform. Tyler vanished from the internet, or maybe they just made his accounts private. Either way, their silence felt more strategic than remorseful. My mom never called again. Not once. But I still heard things, always through other people. An older cousin told me Mike had tried to start another business, but no one would back him. Word had spread quietly, but wide enough. Suppliers didn't trust him. Landlords wanted co-signers. Even their church, once blindly loyal, had grown distant after the live stream. They were stuck. The damage they caused was no longer just to me. It was on their names, their reputations, their finances. And the best part, I never needed to fight dirty. Everything I did was by the book. Every document, every statement, every withdrawal from the loan or lease, all within my rights. They had thrown mud. I handed the judge a file, but there was one moment, unexpected and oddly satisfying, that really sealed it for me. It was a Sunday. The store was closed. I was cleaning up after a private event we'd hosted. A small local showcase, women-owned businesses, lots of laughter and food. One of the new girls I'd hired was sweeping when she paused and said some lady was standing outside earlier, just staring in, dressed up like she came from church. I checked the camera feed. It was my mom. She stood there for maybe 5 minutes, didn't knock, didn't come in, just stared through the glass like she couldn't believe what she was seeing, like she expected the place to be closed, abandoned, or maybe she expected to see me struggling alone. But instead she saw people cleaning up from a full event, a growing staff, a well-stocked store, light, basic movement. She left without saying anything. I didn't call her. I didn't chase her down. I just went back to locking up and wiping the counters like nothing happened, because by then it really was nothing. I don't miss them. Not my brother, not his smug little son, not the woman he married, or the mother who spent her energy protecting everyone except the daughter who needed her. I don't miss the forced smiles or the small talk or the silences that always felt loaded with judgment. I don't miss pretending to laugh at Tyler's jokes, or pretending it didn't sting every time they left my daughter out of family photos. I'm building something now, something real, not just a business, but a life where I'm respected, safe, heard, and yeah, sometimes when something goes well, when we hit a sales milestone, when a new product sells out, when someone tags the store on social media saying how beautiful the space is, I make sure a certain cousin knows. Not out of spite, just strategy. Because I know they'll tell them, and I know it drives them crazy. Maybe that's petty, or maybe it's just what it looks like when the quiet one finally gets tired of being pushed around. Either way, I sleep just fine. Make sure a certain cousin knows. Not out of spite, just strategy. Because I know they'll tell them, and I know it drives them crazy. Maybe that's petty, or maybe it's just what it looks like when the quiet one finally gets tired of being pushed around. Either way, I sleep just fine.
She once laughed to her friends. I'd never let him meet my family. He's too embarrassing. I heard it from the next room. I didn't argue. I just waited. That weekend, she learned what embarrassing really felt like. You never think it's going to be you. You read these stories online and you think, no way, people aren't really like that. You assume you'd see the signs. You assume you'd know. I'm here to tell you that you can be staring right at it, living right in it, and have absolutely no idea until the floor gives out from under you. For me, the floor gave out on a Tuesday night. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Matt. I'm 38. I own a landscaping and custom outdoor construction company. I started it with a rusty pickup and a secondhand lawnmower when I was 22. Now I have 3 crews, a fleet of trucks, and we build everything from high-end patios to elaborate water features. I'm not a fancy guy. My hands are calloused, and I've usually got a bit of dirt under my fingernails no matter how hard I scrub. But I'm proud of what I've built. It's real. It's mine. For the last 4 years, my life has revolved around Amelia. She's 32, beautiful, smart, and works in public relations. We met through a mutual friend, and I fell for her hard. She was everything I thought I wasn't. Polished, sophisticated, she knew which wine to order and which fork to use. I thought she balanced me out. I thought we were a team. We got engaged 6 months ago. She was the one who insisted we both get engagement rings. She'd read an article about how it was a modern symbol of equality in a partnership. It felt a little strange to me. It's not a common thing for guys in the US, but it was important to her. She said it showed the world we were a unit, equally committed. So I wore the simple platinum band she and her friends helped her pick out, and I felt proud. The diamond I bought for her was another story. It was classic, elegant, and cost more than my first truck. I didn't care. I wanted her to have the best. The issue, if you could call it that, was always our backgrounds. I grew up in a normal middle-class family. My dad was a mechanic, my mom a teacher's aide. We were happy. Amelia's family, on the other hand, was what you'd call old money. Her father is a surgeon, her mother runs a charity foundation. They live in a different world, a world of country clubs, galas, and summer homes. I had met her parents a handful of times. They were always polite, but there was a distance. A kind of polite, clinical curiosity, like they were examining a strange new species of plant I'd brought into their garden. I was never invited to their big family gatherings or holiday events. Amelia always had a reason. Oh, it's just a boring family thing, you'd be miserable. Or, my aunt is visiting, and she can be a lot, I want to protect you from that. I believed her. I thought she was being considerate. I thought she was shielding me from their judgment. I was a fool. The moment of clarity came last Tuesday. Amelia was having her 2 best friends, Chloe and Isabella, over for drinks. They were her bridesmaids. I was in my home office, which is right next to the living room, finishing up some invoices. The walls are not thick. They had a couple of bottles of wine, and their voices started getting louder, their laughter sharper. I was trying to tune them out when I heard Chloe ask, "So, is your mom's 60th birthday party this weekend still the big family debut for Matt?" There was a pause, and then I heard Amelia laugh. It wasn't her normal, happy laugh. It was a sharp, dismissive sound. "God, no," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "Can you imagine? I'd never let him meet my extended family. He's too embarrassing." The words hit me like a physical blow. I literally stopped breathing. Embarrassing. Me. Isabella chimed in, her voice syrupy and fake. "You have to, sweetie. You can't keep him hidden forever. What would he even talk about with your Uncle Robert? Mulch? They all burst out laughing. It felt like they were in the room with me, pointing and laughing right in my face. I know, Amelia said, catching her breath. I'm working out a plan. The goal is to get the wedding over with, lock him down, and then train him. A little at a time. He's a good provider. You just have to sand down the rough edges. Or trade up, Chloe said, and they laughed again. I didn't hear anything after that. A roaring sound filled my ears. All the air had been sucked out of the room. I wasn't her partner. I was a project, a fixer-upper, a secret to be managed. The man she was going to marry was too embarrassing to meet her family. I didn't storm out. I didn't confront them. I just sat there in the dark, my hands resting on my keyboard, and something inside me shifted. The hurt was there, a deep, crushing weight. But underneath it, something else was forming. Something cold, hard, and clear. She had just handed me a blueprint of how she saw me, our relationship, and our future. She thought I was a simple man. She was about to find out how wrong she was. I waited until I heard them leave, then I closed my laptop and started making a plan of my own. She wanted to be embarrassed? Fine. I would give her an experience she would never forget. Update 1. The 24 hours after I overheard that conversation were the longest of my life. I went through the motions. Amelia came into the office later that night, kissed me on the head, and said she was going to bed. She didn't notice the look in my eyes. She didn't notice that the man she was saying goodnight to was not the same man who had been sitting there 2 hours earlier. My plan needed to be precise. It couldn't be emotional or messy. It had to be a series of logical, unavoidable consequences. She saw me as a simple landscaper, a man who worked with his hands. She forgot that my job is to literally reshape the earth, to see a barren patch of dirt and envision a finished project. I was about to apply that same skill set to my life. The first thing I did was on Wednesday morning. I called my lawyer. I explained the situation, told him what I'd overheard. I wanted to know my legal standing. We lived in my house, which I owned outright before I met her. Her name was not on the deed. We had a joint savings account for the wedding, but most of our other finances were separate. He confirmed that my house was my sole property. He advised me to move 50% of the funds from the joint wedding account into a new personal account immediately to protect my half. I did it from my banking app before we even hung up the phone. Next, I did some digging. Her mother's 60th birthday party. She had told me it was a small family dinner. A quick search online revealed the truth. It was a massive, catered event at a prestigious local art gallery. There was a guest list that read like a who's who of the local social scene. This wasn't just a party, it was a statement, and she was planning on attending it alone, leaving her embarrassing fiancé at home. The anger was a clean, cold fuel now. I spent the rest of the day setting the stage. I called a high-end car service, one that uses the kind of black town cars you see in movies. I booked one for Friday afternoon. I called a premium moving and storage company and scheduled them for Friday morning. I told them I needed a team to pack up the contents of 2 rooms and a bathroom and move them to a climate-controlled storage unit. I paid for the first 3 months in advance. On Thursday, I put my plan into motion with Amelia. I came home from work with a bouquet of her favorite flowers. I told her I had a surprise for her. I know we've been so stressed with the wedding planning. I said, putting on the performance of a lifetime. And I know your mom's party is this weekend. I want to do something special for us. I've booked a surprise romantic getaway, just the 2 of us. We'll leave Friday afternoon and come back Sunday morning, just in time for you to see your mom on her actual birthday. Her eyes lit up. This was the language she understood. Luxury, spontaneity, grand gestures. Oh my God, Matt, where are we going? It's a surprise, I said, smiling. Just pack an overnight bag with something nice to wear for dinner on Friday night. I'm handling everything. She was thrilled. She spent the next hour texting her friends, bragging about the surprise. I could practically hear Chloe and Isabella squealing through the phone. The simple man was learning. He was finally getting it right. On Friday morning, I took the day off work. I told Amelia I had some errands to run to get ready for our trip. As soon as she left for her office, the moving company arrived. They were incredible. Professional, efficient, and discreet. In 3 hours, every single item that belonged to Amelia was gone from my house. Her clothes from the closet, her products from the bathroom, the art she'd hung on the walls, the ridiculous collection of throw pillows on the couch. They packed it all with meticulous care. When they were done, they handed me a key to the storage unit and an inventory list. The house was mine again. It was quiet. It was clean. Then, I changed the locks. All of them. At 4 o'clock that afternoon, the black town car pulled into my driveway. Amelia arrived home a few minutes later, buzzing with excitement, carrying her perfectly packed overnight bag. Her friends, Chloe and Isabella, were with her. They had apparently decided to come over to see her off and get all the details. They were sitting on my couch, sipping champagne they had brought, when I walked in. "The car is here," I announced with a smile. Amelia jumped up and hugged me. "I'm so excited. Where are you taking me?" Her friends were watching, their eyes gleaming. This was the kind of story they loved. I walked her to the front door, carrying her bag. The driver, a professional in a black suit, was holding the rear door open. "Have an amazing time," I said, handing her the bag. She looked confused. "Aren't you coming?" "No," I said, my smile never wavering. "This is for you." I leaned in and kissed her on the cheek. "It's time you met your family." Her confusion deepened. Chloe and Isabella were now standing in the doorway, their smiles faltering. I handed the driver an envelope. Then I handed Amelia a second envelope, a thick, expensive one with her name written on it. "This should explain everything," I said. "Have a safe trip." I turned around, walked back into my house, and closed the door. I locked the deadbolt. I could hear their confused voices outside. I walked to the living room window and watched as the driver, following his instructions, closed the door and got into the car. Amelia stood there for a moment, looking at the envelope in her hand, then at my closed door. Then she got into the car. Chloe and Isabella were left standing in my driveway, looking completely bewildered as the car pulled away. The first part of my plan was complete. Update 2. The silence in the house after that black car pulled away was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Chloe and Isabella stood in my driveway for another 5 minutes, calling Amelia's phone, then mine. I didn't answer. Eventually they got in their car and left, probably to start a frantic group chat titled, "What Just Happened?" I poured myself a whiskey and sat down to wait. I knew the real storm wouldn't hit for at least another hour. Let me tell you what was in those 2 envelopes. The one I gave the driver contained his instructions and a generous tip. His destination was the art gallery where Amelia's mother's party was being held. His instructions were to drop Amelia off directly at the main entrance, hand her a final small envelope from the glove compartment, and then leave immediately. The envelope I gave Amelia contained a multi-page letter. I had spent 2 days writing it. It was calm, rational, and brutal. It started with her own words, quoted verbatim. "I'd never let him meet my extended family. He's too embarrassing." I explained that I had overheard her conversation with her friends. I explained that I now understood my role in her life. A provider to be kept hidden, a project to be trained after the wedding. I told her that I was saving her the trouble of hiding me any longer. I was officially removing myself from her life so she could be with her family, the people she wasn't ashamed of. I detailed the cancellation of our engagement. I informed her that her belongings were now in a secure storage unit and the key was in the small envelope the driver would give her upon arrival. I told her the locks on my house were changed and that she was no longer welcome there. I ended the letter by saying that I wished her the best in finding a partner she wasn't embarrassed by. The second part of the plan was already in motion. While she was in that car reading that letter, an insured courier was on his way to her father's office. The package contained both engagement rings, the one I had bought for her and the one she had insisted I wear as a symbol of our equal commitment. It also contained a short, formal note from me. "Dr. Anderson, I am returning these to you. It appears the commitment they were meant to symbolize was not shared. Amelia has made her choice, and I am respecting it. I am sorry for how this may affect your family. Sincerely, Matt." The timing was everything. She would be arriving at that party, reeling from the letter, just as her father was receiving a package that confirmed every word of it. She would have no room to lie, no way to spin the narrative. She would be trapped in a cage of her own making, surrounded by the very people she was so desperate to impress. Around 6:30, my phone started to explode. It was a tidal wave of notifications. Dozens of missed calls from Amelia, from her mother, from numbers I didn't recognize. Texts poured in, a chaotic stream of consciousness. How could you do this to me? You left me here. Everyone is staring. My father is furious. You've ruined everything. Let me in the house right now, you psycho. Please, Matt, it was a joke. I didn't mean it. My life is over. I hope you're happy. Then came the messages from Chloe and Isabella. They were vicious. They called me every name in the book. A monster, a gaslighter, a manipulative coward. They accused me of planning this all along, of trapping Amelia. According to them, I was the villain for reacting to her betrayal, while she was the innocent victim of a misunderstanding. I read every single message. I didn't reply to any of them. I just sat there, watching the digital implosion of a life I had thought was mine. The real satisfaction wasn't in her panic. It was in the silence from my end. It was in my refusal to engage in the drama she had created. I had made my move. Now, all I had to do was let the consequences play out. I ordered a pizza, put on a movie, and turned my phone on silent. The next day, I found out what had happened at the party. A friend of mine has a cousin who works for the catering company that was handling the event. The story was already becoming legendary. Amelia had arrived in a black car, dressed for a romantic dinner, and been dropped off alone at the curb. She had stumbled into the gallery in tears, clutching a letter, just as her father was opening a package containing 2 engagement rings. The scene, apparently, was spectacular. Her mother trying to hustle her into a side room. Her father, a man known for his icy composure, turning a shade of purple. The whispers spreading through the crowd like fire. Amelia had wanted to avoid embarrassment. Instead, I had delivered it to her on a silver platter, at the one place in the world she valued most, in front of her family and their entire social circle. On Sunday, the attack shifted. The direct, frantic messages stopped, replaced by a more insidious strategy. The social media campaign began. Vague posts from Chloe and Isabella started appearing about toxic men and the hidden abuse in relationships that looked perfect on the outside. Amelia posted a single picture of a single tear rolling down her cheek with the caption, "Sometimes you don't know what you're escaping until you're free. #survivor. They were trying to rewrite history. They were trying to frame me as an abuser. It was a disgusting, calculated move, and I knew I had to shut it down. But again, not with public drama. With precision. I remembered something. About a month ago, Amelia had been complaining about her phone's storage being full. I had helped her back up all her photos and videos to her laptop. I had a hunch. I went to her old laptop, which she had left behind. It was password protected, but she always used the same password for everything. The name of her childhood pet. I was in within seconds. I went to her voice memos, and there it was. She was one of those people who recorded conversations, a habit I always found strange. She had a recording labeled Girls' Night Wine. I listened to it. The entire conversation from that Tuesday night was there. Her laughter, her calling me embarrassing, her talk of training me, Isabella's comment about mulch, Chloe's suggestion to trade up. It was all there, clear as day. I edited the recording down to the most damning 60-second clip. I didn't post it online, I just sent it to 2 people. First, to Isabella's fiancé, a finance guy I'd met a few times. My message was simple. "Hey Tom, thought you might want to hear what your future wife and her friends talk about when they think no one is listening." Second, I sent it to Amelia's father. My email to him read, "Dr. Anderson, I have no desire to make this a public spectacle. However, Amelia and her friends have started a public campaign to paint me as an abuser. This is a recording of the conversation that led to my decision to end the engagement. This is the truth, in her own words. I will not release this publicly, but I will defend my reputation if I am forced to. I suggest you advise your daughter to stop." The social media posts were deleted within 3 hours. The smear campaign was over before it even began. Checkmate. Final update. It's been 4 months since the night of the party. Life has returned to a quiet, steady rhythm that I hadn't realized I was missing so much. The anger has mostly dissipated, leaving behind a kind of calm resolution. I wanted to write this final update to close the book on this chapter, for myself as much as for anyone who has followed this story. The weeks immediately following the implosion were a strange mix of chaos and silence. After I sent that audio clip, the communication from Amelia and her friends stopped completely. It was like a switch was flipped. The power dynamic had shifted. I had the truth recorded in her own voice, and they knew it. The threat of that truth going public was enough to enforce a ceasefire. I heard through the grapevine what happened next. Isabella's engagement to Tom is off. Apparently, hearing his fiancée laugh while discussing another man as a project to be trained did not sit well with him. He saw it as a massive red flag about her character and her friends, and he pulled the plug. Chloe is still with her husband, but I heard they went through a very rocky period. Her involvement in the smear campaign and the general toxicity of that friend group apparently opened his eyes to a few things. Amelia's life, from what I gather, has been completely upended. She is still living with her parents. Her father, a man who values reputation above all else, was deeply humiliated by the public nature of the breakup. The story of her being dropped off at the party became a piece of local gossip that they couldn't escape. He apparently put her on a strict allowance and demanded she get a job and start paying for her own expenses. The free ride was over. She and I had one final, indirect communication. About 2 months ago, I received a formal letter from a lawyer she had hired. It was a demand for financial compensation. It was an absurd document, claiming she was entitled to a portion of my business's value due to her emotional and domestic support during our relationship. It was a desperate, last-ditch attempt to get money out of me. My lawyer's response was short and brutal. It included a bill for half of all the non-refundable wedding deposits, which totaled over $40,000. It also included a detailed accounting of every major expense I had covered for her during the past year. Car payments, credit card bills, vacations. The letter concluded by stating that if she wished to pursue her claim, we would be happy to meet her in court, where we would also be filing a counterclaim for her share of the wedding losses and other expenses, and where the audio recording of her stating her intentions would be submitted as evidence of her fraudulent intent in the relationship. We never heard from her lawyer again. The most satisfying part of all of this hasn't been the drama or the fallout. It has been the rediscovery of my own life. I've thrown myself back into my business, landing 2 of the biggest contracts of my career. I've reconnected with old friends I had neglected because Amelia didn't approve of them. I've spent weekends hiking and fishing, things she always called dirty and harassing. I'm dating again. Nothing serious, but I met a woman who is a veterinarian. She's smart, she's funny, and when I told her what I do for a living, she said, "That's amazing. You create beautiful things out of nothing." She didn't see dirt under my fingernails. She saw creation. The difference was staggering. Last weekend I saw Amelia. I was at a coffee shop with my laptop, going over some designs. She walked in with her mother. She didn't see me at first. She looked diminished. The polished confidence was gone, replaced by a kind of weary resignation. Her mother was talking to her in a low, stern voice, and Amelia was just nodding, staring at the floor. Then she looked up and our eyes met. There was a flicker of panic in her face, then shame. She quickly looked away and hurried out of the coffee shop, leaving her mother standing there. In that moment, I didn't feel anger or triumph. I felt a profound sense of pity. She had been so terrified of being embarrassed by me that she had become the architect of her own humiliation. Her greatest fear was people thinking she had settled for someone beneath her. Now she had nothing. Her friends, her fiancé, her reputation, all gone. All because she couldn't see the value in a man who loved her for who she was, not who she could be molded into.